Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Loreweek. I'm your host, Lore Dude, the lore guy who lores it up every loring time. Once in a lore a while, you know. How's everyone doing? Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm filled with some fear over here. Thank you very, very much, Sakage. As ever, much appreciated and very valuable. Thank you. Congrats on finishing your move, Zed Slayer. Hope you enjoyed the game, Valerian. Funnily enough, I actually completely beat Bloodstained to my satisfaction just last week, Little Billy. And, you know, the whole Zangetsu bonus fight, you know. I want to share something real quick. So I went to Walmart recently, and I needed to get like a little waste bin. Just a simple little one, really small. I didn't need anything fancy. In fact, I wanted the cheapest thing available, because it wasn't really that relevant. It's basically just a thing to throw like tissues in, basically, or like floss after I've used it in. So I just needed a tiny little waste bin for right here by my computer, because I moved my actual trash further away. So I get to the area in Walmart, and I look down the row, and they have what I want, but it's like $30. And I'm just staring at that like, what? So I go further down to look at the cheaper stuff, and all the cheaper stuff was stylized. As in, like, it had logos of crap on it. And I'm just looking at this like, I don't want any of these. Well, whatever. Let's see what they've got, because I don't have that much money to burn on this, and I do need a waste bin. So the one I ended up getting was this one. So anyways. What? R2-D2 would be honored to be my waste bin. Also, I don't think the rumination on Last of Us has gone live yet, Sonic Doctor. It really shouldn't have, because I'm pretty sure I haven't even uploaded it yet. Yeah, no, it's right here, still in my hard drive. You're freaking me out here, Sonic. I know you're super fast, so you can go to the future and all, but you gotta pull it back a little bit, man. I also have another quick story to share, if you guys don't mind. So I'm at Walmart, same place, and I'm looking for one of these. I actually use physical planners to help map out my show, to what episodes go live when and all that fun stuff. And I needed one for 2019. So I'm like, okay, looking around for this. So there's this woman there. Nice woman, young, probably like 22, something like that. And she's like, hi, you know. Now, I usually have a pretty good read on people, so I'm pretty sure that her initial spiel was one of that, you know, the fake smile, the plastic smile, right? Hi, hey, listen, what's going on? Sorry, I didn't realize you were on the phone, because I almost always have my headphones in when I'm out, because I have music going. So she's like, hey, yeah, so, what kind of internet do you have? Oh, I use Comcast. Really? How much do you pay a month for that? About $240 a month. And then, like, you could just see the gears jam in her brain. Like, she's just doing this kind of light, bouncy movement thing. She literally stopped moving. Like, and the smile just went away, and she just went. It wasn't, like, super obvious, but, you know, I was paying attention. Because I pay attention to people's mannerisms, as a matter of course. And there was a solid 6 or so seconds pause of her just... $240, like, just like that. Yeah. Why do you pay that much? I have a business account. You have a... Yeah, I have a business account. Oh. Smile back. Have a good day! Oh, she was definitely filled with fear in that moment. Thank you very, very much, Necro Gangster. As always, those Twitch subs are much appreciated. Thank you. I found the whole thing hysterical, personally. What else? So... This is... Well, we'll make that an actual thing. We'll do that later. I should have given her a business card. I don't think she cares. So I want you guys to be up to date on my schedule. I want to be fully communicative with you. Obviously, there's nothing still on the website, and there won't be probably for another week. What's included in the business account? No data caps. Anyways, so I'm still watching my niece for part of the coming week. And then as soon as I'm done watching her, I'm going to be slamming YouTube videos as hard and as much as I can because I'm still not done with my YouTube video pre-recording thing I'm doing. So I don't actually know when I'm going to start doing streams. I just want to make that clear because I've heard a few people say, I can't wait for August when you're going to start doing streams. There's a reasonable chance that I'm not going to start doing streams properly again until like late August. So I want to be 100% clear on that. Because I still have to do all the DS9 stuff, and 2 Friday Ruminations are still on the schedule right now. I've already started work on all of those, but all of the TNG stuff is done, and all of the other Friday Ruminations are done. Except for those 2 and all the DS9 stuff. So, full information. Yeah. That's the idea, Takota. We're going to actually have a poll when we get closer to me being back to streams. Basically, the poll is going to be lore runs or premiere runs, because I'm going to focus on one or the other. We're doing both regardless, but the question is which one happens first. What else? Another rambling quick thing here. Endless Space 2 is getting a new expansion called Supremacy, which unfortunately I wasn't able to find a whole lot of information about, but I mean, it's Endless Space 2, so that's awesome. What else? I think that's it for my random news. So let's talk about Mission Impossible 6 just really quick. What I mean by that, Blue Wolfholics, is up until the point I am recording 2, which is the end of this year, I am doing every DS9 episode that comes out for the rest of the year. Which probably sounds like a lot, but it kind of isn't. Because it's filled with fear. Thank you very, very much, Jaludo. As ever, those Twitch Prime subs are much appreciated. Thank you. Sorry, I got distracted because I'm an idiot. 4 months ahead sounds like a lot. It's not. What's going to happen is I'm going to stream for another couple months, and then I'm going to have to go right back to YouTubing. Because the problem here, and this is not a complaint, but the problem here is I basically lost 3 weeks of production time watching my niece. So, kind of not really going to be able to be as far ahead as I would like. So, either way, that'll be something we do closer to then. There's also a like 95% chance at this point that we're going to be chopping Ruminations down to twice a month rather than 4 times a month. In other words, every other Friday once we get to 2019. Just a heads up on that. We'll also be opening the floodgates pretty soon because the Friday Ruminations are actually going to terminate at the end of this year, basically. Which is correct. I mean, that means I calculated it correctly. But yeah, we're going to have the very last rumination that goes live for this floodgate cycle is going to be January 4th. So we're going to be opening up the floodgates relatively soon to make sure you guys get in stuff on that. I'm kind of hoping to have time to slot in the theater stuff, but that depends on the theater stuff being done. I will also go back to doing a weekly theater thing once I'm done with the YouTube crunching. So FYI on that as well. Hey, J-Scar. Welcome back. Yes, I'm going to start a channel about it on the Discord, and I'll be doing the Patreon post. We're not doing that right now. But we will be doing that like in a couple months here. Basically, yes, Speak a Clone. I did enjoy Genealogy, for reference. Sacred Stones... I don't remember anything about it. I know that sounds horrible. I remember enjoying it. I remember it was actually my favorite game of the 3 to just play.
Oh, welcome. Pay close attention. Hopefully you'll learn something.
Well, Snicker friend, as it happens, I actually have a FAQ on my website that answers your question. And I'm going to say that rather than answer you right here because I have a FAQ on my website that answers that question. Thank you very, very much, Zalok. Let me jot that down really quick here. And thank you. Thank you for supporting me. Here we go. So, this is, I have answered that many times. Yes, J-Scar. It is a premiere run. It is going to happen. It does not have a schedule yet because of everything I've literally just been talking about right now. The stream side of my show has basically been paused while I deal with the summer crises. With the fear of this. Thank you very, very much, Wraith, as ever. Very much appreciated. Especially since I haven't really been streaming lately. I still appreciate you guys supporting me. I do really want to get back to streaming. Really, I swear I want to get back to streaming. It's... Thank you, Slowjack McCrow, for the fear. And welcome to the Baker's Dozen Club. Though I don't quite ask for those main subs, I still very much appreciate them. Thank you. The summer crisis. My niece is not in school. Plus, a lot of events. We had E3, and then we had SGDQ, and there was something else that happened. I can't actually remember. And between all of those things, my time just went right out the window. What's the other thing I was going to mention? I will be... Oh, right. Mission Impossible 6. So I'm not going to do a full discussion on Mission Impossible 6 because no one cares. I will not be spoiling Mission Impossible 6. Duh. However, I do want to say, if you... Hi, Zenkadek. If you are interested in the franchise at all, watch it. It is, in my opinion, the best Mission Impossible movie we've had to date. Make of that what you will. First piece of advice I have, watch Mission Impossible 5 first. Because 6 is a direct sequel to 5 in a way that none of the others really have been. Also, in my opinion, the first half of Mission Impossible 6 was better than the second half. Because the first half was smartly written and tense and suspenseful and awesome. And the second half was an action film. You know? Like, I don't mean to cast aspirations of negativity towards action films. But it was a completely typical action film. You know, it was one of those, okay, this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen. And you could just predict everything that was going to happen because it was completely by the numbers. With, like, 2 exceptions. So. Anyways. No, aspirations sounds correct. Aspersions would be correct as well, though, for a different reason. Well, nah, worse than that, Blue Wolf Alex. When I say completely predictable, like, I'm one of those people who's okay with you not doing something new or not doing something unexpected as long as you do it well, right? That's something I've always been very big on. The last half, I would... No, Dream Whisperer, no. You need to watch 5 first. I mean, I guess you don't have to. There's a lot of stuff of nuance that they're not going to cover in 6 that was in 5. See you around, Volcanto. But when I say, like, a typical action film, I mean, like... Let me just give you a hypothetical scenario. There's a bomb. What's going to happen? With no other information at all, you could probably tell me exactly what's going to happen. Nope, didn't explode. One second off, the bomb will be defused. Correct. Red wire or blue wire? Correct. You get it, right? Like, it's one of those completely typical scenarios. It's the kind of thing that I would expect to see in a parody film, because it is so by the numbers to the point that it actually kind of took me out of the film. I was just like, really? Okay. Now, that being said, I did still enjoy Mass Effect 6 overall. Mass Effect 6, wow. Mission Impossible 6 overall. Legitimately, I did actually enjoy it. It's just, the second half was like, maybe like a 2 on the scale. Maybe a 1. Whereas the first half was like a 9. You know what I mean? Huge gap in quality. Anyways, so that's all I got to say about Mission Impossible 6. Yeah, Mass Effect 6. I've been working on it for the last few years. What was the other thing I was going to comment on? So I got a couple of unboxing things, but I think I'll save those for their own section. Let's talk about some news. So let me get a timestamp here. Look, I've been time traveling my whole life. Well, I'm trying not to actually spoil Chocolate Rob. That's why I avoided details, but a lot of you got a lot of details right, even though all I said was, there's a bomb, which is my point. Actually, no. Well, I changed my mind. Let's not talk about that next. Let's talk about this. What's a technically hazardous? Oh, you mean the time travel thing? No, sorry, I was making a joke, not the technically. You know, we all know I'm a Time Lord, right? I mean, that's just normal. The EU is fining several companies, now, basically. Last week, to be more specific. Those companies include Asus, Philips, Denon, and Marantz. Oh, and Pioneer. Sorry. So it's Asus, Philips, Denon, and Marantz, and then Pioneer. All of those companies are being fined. Here's the weird thing. This whole EU fining thing, I've been paying more and more attention to it because it's been more and more interesting to me as the EU continues to fine companies. On the one hand, part of me is in favor of reining companies in. On the other hand, I don't trust the EU or government in general. Right? It's like I mentioned last week with the other EU fine against Google. It's like, it's two rich jackasses doing a slapping fight. I can't really root for either side in that one, can I? So, in this particular case, I do think they were in the right on this one. The specific fine is for price fixing. To use a more specific example, Asus would say, here's a screwdriver, right? Now, this, you can go ahead and, you know, you're trying to sell this screwdriver for $15, and I'm like, no, you shouldn't do that. You should have Kefka happen instead. That's much better. You should sell this for $20. Sell this for $20, and that kind of price fixing is what I mean. And that is something that is kind of a shady, not pleasant area, and is something that is apparently actually illegal. All of the companies I just mentioned, most notably Asus, were fully in cooperation with the government officials, and so their fines were actually reduced as a consequence, and they have said they will stop doing this kind of price fixing. Now, I could explain why price fixing is bad, but I'm pretty sure anyone with a functioning brain can understand why price fixing is bad, so let's just move on from that step. Now, the real reason I bring this up, though, is once again, I find myself wondering, where is this going, I suppose, is the real question I have. And I don't want to get into controversial territory, but I think we could actually stay here in non-controversial zone, because this is, in many ways, a discussion about what a company should be allowed to do. Now, I don't know how many of you have really studied economics for the last 200 years or so. Across the last, obviously none of you are 200 years old, except for me, obviously. But My point is, if you look back at what companies accomplish, there are many things that companies do that are really horrible. And things that if you look at it nowadays, you'd say, well, you can't do that. Like, how many times have you encountered someone or been someone who has said something along the lines of, well, they have to give me a refund? Like, just something incredibly basic as a refund for a default product, a defective product, is something that's relatively recent of an innovation when it comes to economic models and when it comes to what companies are forced to do because of legislation and because of the market and the way that multiple forces, not just the government, let's make that clear, this is not just a legal thing, but there are many different things which kind of push these kind of standards into place. Standards of safety is something that's recent within this century with regards to employees and how many hours you can work and blah, 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 blah. If you say that, Dakota, I bring that up because I actually have had to process a return just a few days ago, which I did. It was a defective product. I got my money back. Boom. Now, granted, that's through Amazon, and Amazon is usually really good about refunds, but the point remaining. Also, Walmart. That's another one I usually get refunds for. Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, there's a lot of weird things that just kind of get in place. And when I say a lot, I mean so much I couldn't possibly summarize them right now. God, what else is normal nowadays? Having access to customer service at all. And I know people are going to be like, oh yeah, whatever, but how many times have you actually gotten a hold of a manager, for example? Right? Like, for example, let's say that you said, hey, this isn't the food I wanted at insert food place here. I need this fixed. There's a reasonable chance the manager will come over and talk to you, and there's a reasonable chance that will actually get fixed, at least in my experience. I'm seeing some weird... Is this not a thing in Europe? I admittedly don't know. I don't live in Europe. I have never had a problem with a food place not having a manager come over and fixing this. In fact, that is so ordinary over here that sometimes a manager will come over just to make sure everything's fine. I used to do that all the time when I was the manager at Arby's. Well, you're still part of the EU, Max. I'm sorry to break it to you. Technically, everything in the world is actually a part of the EU now, except for Russia and the States. My point being, sorry, I'm getting a little bit off track. Let's rewind this a little bit. My overall point being, should we actually sit down and allow governments to define hard lines for what companies can and cannot do? That's really the philosophy that is at stake here. And right now, the answer to that question is no. Almost universally in countries that I am aware of throughout the course of the world. People are like, no. However, I've noticed a trend which has been happening a lot more and more recently, where governments or governmental bodies will get around that we can't legally force you to do something by just slapping people with things that aren't really forcing a new law into practice, just kind of exerting pressure. For those of you who don't live in the States, there's a similar system here with regard to highways, which is actually kind of complicated, but so I don't want to get into it completely. But basically there are federal oversight over highways technically doesn't exist legally. However, federal governments do push pressure onto state governments to follow certain standards when it comes to highways. There's the summary. And the same thing has been happening more and more when it comes to companies and the way that companies operate. Which is weird when you think about it, considering how much money is cycled from companies into government. Of course, saying government as if it's a singular body is obviously an inaccurate statement, so that might help to explain that by itself.
Of course you follow me. They all do.
Why would you do this to me, Valerian? I'm not even streaming. I'm not going to be streaming for weeks. I have 1,000 DS9 episodes to go through. Okay, 1,000 is an exaggeration. It's like 20-ish, something like that. Hang on, let me go see what he donated for some reason. Well, now this is funny because the text came in improperly here, Valerian. So what it says is put it towards hate evs. So I don't know what hate evs is. I'm not sure if I should be feared by all this hate. Thank you very, very much, Battle Programmer. As ever, those Twitch Prime subs are much appreciated. Thank you. I'm not sure what hate evs is, guys. Anybody know? Is that a thing? Is that just some new slang I just don't know about? Anyways, getting back to my point, I've been noticing this trend and I can't decide what I think about it. You're right, more hateful and toxic. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off this topic because I don't have much else to say about it. It's just something that I thought was interesting and I wanted to kind of bring up just to get people thinking about it. And I can't really go further because this isn't Halloween. So let's move on. Before we move on to our next topic, though, I have a small announcement to make. I've kind of already made this announcement, but I want to make this official. No really style official. What's the time? We'll put it at 27. The Last Jedi is now a forbidden topic on my show. Sorry. I don't want to do that. I really don't. It's stupid that I have to do that. But it's true. That's where we're at. So no more bringing it up. It has gotten sufficiently bad that it is no longer acceptable. No, what I said last week is that it was going to be added to the forbidden list. I said last week that I was going to be refusing to do a rumination on it, which is true. It is actually officially on the forbidden list as of right now. But now it has entered into the controversial topic territory. Now, for those of you who don't know what I mean by that, we have a no controversial topics rule on my show that's only lifted for Halloween, right? So if you really want to talk about The Last Jedi, we could talk about it on Halloween, because that's how bad it's gotten. So, Disney, Fox, Comcast, and Sky. For the same reasons. The fact that I got even more comments over the last week is just whatever. Force Awakens, fine. Nobody cares about that one. Disney, Fox, Comcast, Sky. So here's the thing. Disney successfully managed to procure... Good morning, Sonoshi. Disney successfully managed to procure Fox. That bid has been officially and formally accepted by Fox. Excuse me. They have voted. So the only thing that has to happen now is the money has to transfer and then the paperwork has to be signed. But otherwise, that is it. That is exact. Disney has won and Disney has procured Fox. Yay! And I can't believe I'm even saying this because yay. I mean that legitimately in this case, because even though Disney is a nightmarish death doom company from hell, they're better than Comcast. However, the reason that Comcast and Sky are still on that topic is because currently Fox has... Okay, so Fox owns Sky. They do have the X-Men rights and the Fantastic Four rights as of this deal going through. Yes. And that has led to tremendous fear. Thank you very, very much, Speaker, as ever. Much appreciated those Twitch Prime subs. Thank you. Well, I can't decide yet, Blue Wolf Alex. I have no opinion on it. I am grateful that it's not under Comcast. I am legitimately happy that it's not under Comcast, because Comcast is of a tier worse than Disney is, in my opinion. Now, that being said, so... Fox owns, I should have written down the number. It's like 60-something% of Sky. It's a decent chunk of Sky. No, it's actually, excuse me, it's 40% of Sky. Sorry, wrong direction. So Fox technically does own a controlling interest in Sky. And thus, as of right now, when this deal goes through, Disney will own Sky. Yay. I don't have that much of a personal axe to grind with Comcast, not compared to the kind of garbage that they do on a large scale. They are a scummy and unacceptable company. They practice methods that are legally allowed, but are not morally or ethically acceptable, in my opinion. They, on a regular basis, actively try to sap the world of anything good or decent in the virtue of making more money now and ensuring that their business model later is worse. They're also actively trying to make things worse on a everyday living scale for a large number of people. I did an entire series, an entire Loreweek, talking about how horrible Comcast is. I don't need to reestablish my cred here. Getting back to the point, Comcast is actively trying to buy the other 60% of Sky. Now, Fox is also trying to actively buy the other 60% of Sky. This leads to a problem. Now, I've actually already referenced this before, if you're remembering. But the problem is Fox may or may not turn any of their new capital over, or their new, I forget the term, stock purchasing power, into procuring the rest of Sky. And Sky does not necessarily have to accept that. In fact, Sky is already being pushed, the Sky board and the Sky stockholders already being pushed to, I can't remember the exact term, but they're being pushed to do such and such in order to try and accept whether or not that Fox or Comcast can buy their stocks at all. Also keep in mind that, as I mentioned earlier, Stock secured several cash loans from multiple banks in order to try and gain Fox out of Disney. Since they have officially failed on that, there is no reason for them not to turn all of that money from all of those bank loans over into trying to procure Sky. Also note that Sky in particular is technically more valuable to Comcast than Fox is. So, yeah, yes you can, Hazardous. That is actually a thing under certain circumstances. Now, all of this being stated, I would say right now, the only, if we cared, if we looked at this from a company perspective, Sky should never accept Comcast's deal for a lot of financial reasons. Not ethical reasons, not moral reasons, not good or bad or anything like that, just for purely financial reasons. However, that's from a company perspective. But the company is not making that decision, is it? I just want to mention this really quick here, because how many of you have played a video game that's like a business sim or a world builder or a Forex game or whatever? How many of you played that? I've played hundreds, I think I could say at this point. Oh, don't ask me to get into that, Zawan. It's a massively complicated issue. It has to do with basically accepting moderate allowances of value based on their stock versus your stock, if you're going to do a straight stock trade, because most people don't actually buy public stock with money, which I know sounds weird, but it's true. Actually, I'm not sure on that, Valerian, to be 100% honest. Now, the reason I mention that is if you're playing a game, let's pretend this is a video game for a moment, and you are playing, I don't know, Sky. You are actually running the Sky company, and there's this other company called Comcast, which has all its blah, 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 and they're trying to buy you out. Now, as an individual player, you'd look at that, and you'd look at the numbers, and you'd look at what that do to your company, and you would probably say, no. I say probably because it's up to you, because there are other reasons to accept this. But from a long-term perspective, that's just going to damage your company, right? Ergo, you'd say no, because you are playing your company there. But unfortunately, in real life, there's a few hundred people who are playing the company, and they are all going to be making this decision based on them. And that's where we get into the tricky part, because this is going to make the people who own stock and who are board members of Sky, let me get my terminology correctly, Sky, a lot of money if they accept this deal from Comcast, especially since Comcast is the person who's actually, is willing to basically buy way above market value right now. That's the offer that has been tendered as of this moment. So they stand to make some decent cash, and an individual. The director does not have final say, no. The director does have a say, however. What I'm trying to say is that from an individual perspective, there's a reasonable chance Comcast will in fact purchase Sky, in which case, I'm sorry, European viewers. I don't know what else to say about that. because Comcast very much wants an international foothold. And anyways, so that's a little doom and gloom for the day. But I wanted to... I've been following this for a bit now, because obviously this is a topic that I care about. And the continued process of mergers. How many of you... I'm sorry, this is going to sound off topic, but I swear it's related. How many of you are versed in Shadowrun lore? Either from the games, or from the tabletop, or whatever. Oh, I know, Tazara. I'm actively going out of my way not to go into the nuance, because, to be honest, that would take me probably about another hour or so, even if I'm just running through it. Nobody has said yes. Wow. That makes me sad. Shadowrun, for those of you not aware, is a mix between cyberpunk and fantasy, basically. That's the summary. There's obviously more to it than that. In Shadowrun, there are 17 dragons. And those dragons basically have this long-term game that they're playing amongst each other as they hoard influence and urine, or however you pronounce it, and, you know, trying to slowly get... No, this is still on topic. As they're slowly trying to get more and more people underneath each of them. So basically, pretty much all of the world is functionally owned by these dragons. And the idea... Do I have a video on it? It's coming out. Oh, that's true, 16 in the games. You're right, actually, is the one joker. Over time, the idea is that these dragons will slowly shrink and shrink in numbers as more and more of the world is divided up amongst these dragons. And I mentioned that because I'm reminded of that in real world life. Like, it's no wonder why this topic became a thing in a fictional setting like Dragonfall, like Shadowrun. I keep doing that because for some damned reason that really does seem to be the direction we're going in. The amount of companies that are owned by other companies. One of the things that just makes me laugh in that really sad and defeated sort of a way is every time I see the Universal logo. How many of you know what I'm talking about before I even get into it? For those of you who don't, Universal Pictures, a Comcast company. I was not expecting that. Thank you. Before I even look at it, thank you. Very, very much. There's not even a comment. There's no comment. Thank you very, very much for that massive donation. If you'd like to put that towards something, please let me know. I know I'm not really streaming right now, but I still very much appreciate the support, especially since I'll probably be spending that on my niece over the next few days. And not all of it, obviously, but thank you. That is a great timing on the donation. I'm secretly one of the dragons. It's okay. I'm actually interested in trying to better the world while getting rich. Some of the dragons are just interested in getting rich. That's the problem. Okay, obviously I'm kidding about the dragon part, but that is kind of the problem, isn't it? Too many companies are solely interested in the very concept of consolidation for the sake of getting more and more and more money. It's greed. It's greed. I've been saying this for so many years. Anyways. So, the dragons are doing their thing, as per usual. Yay. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next topic. Let's talk about something positive. I'll keep following that and seeing where that's going. So we're finally talking about... Let's just do this. Sadly, no, Blue Elf Alex. So for those of you who don't follow my Twitter, I have time to watch stuff while I'm exercising. I feel like I can't answer that, Berenian. I have time to watch stuff while exercising, and I've been asked about that recently, and I want to explain what I mean by that, because, yeah, I know, Mininations, right? I can't come up with a better term. Anyways, so I want to explain just super quick. Yes, I do exercise twice a day, every day. I'm not saying that to brag, because rather I've been asked by some people, why bother? Like, why is that something you refuse to not do? And the answer is because it's maintenance. Like, in my mind, it is the exact same thing as food or sleep. It's something you do to maintain what you have, right? It's just logical. So I'm not going to stop exercising, getting ahead to my point, because several people have suggested that I stop because I'm so freaked out about how much time I have in order to get work done. So, while I'm exercising, exercise is extremely boring, and I do mean very boring. It is one of the most boring things that I do in my life. So it was driving me crazy. So what I do is I usually watch something while I'm playing the Switch. Yeah, I know, right, Mandartin? But people have said it, so that's why I'm mentioning it. Anyways, so I've got something to watch, usually on my phone, or I've got something to play, my Switch. So my Switch is the only thing I can play. So what I've been doing is I've just been rewatching shows that I like, because that's easy to do. But in light of, or excuse me, I'm actually saying that wrong. I usually watch a little bit of DS9 or a little bit of TNG, and then I go and actually watch it with my notes later for the ruminations. But what I'm going to start doing, because that isn't really helping me, basically. It's like, I've already seen this episode. I don't need to watch it again without my notes. I need my notes in front of me. So what I'm going to start doing instead is I'm going to start going through the Clone Wars. Star Wars The Clone Wars instead. And I thought it'd be kind of a neat thing to just do a little mini-nation about them after each episode, which would be twice a day, obviously, based on my current record of exercise. Would you be interested in this sort of thing? I already asked this on Twitter, but I know that only 3 people use Twitter in the entire world, ergo, I thought I'd ask this in a more open environment. I'm not even going to be streaming for a couple weeks, Sonic Doctor. No, Minинation does not include Mini-Z. So let me refresh. Damn it, Sonic. Really? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Very, very, very much. Don't you dare. I do a variety of exercises in one. It actually varies based on the day. Jot this down too really quick here. Oh no, it's not going to be a rumination. We will eventually be doing a rumination on the Clone Wars series, probably in about 5 years. That's not an exaggeration, it's not a joke. It's going to take forever to get to it. So, getting back to my point, now that Sonic Doctor has completely distracted me, I need to jot that down. Which Golden Sun? Remind me. I know that's a terrible question, but you gotta remind me. So anyways, the real question I have for you guys... I didn't ask for this. The real question I have for you guys is where I do the Mininations. Because a Minination's probably going to be 2 sentences, maybe 3. It's just whatever thoughts occur to me while I'm doing it. I cannot and will not accept adding any more time to this than a few minutes, because I am absolutely colossally slammed in my schedule. However, I can manage a few minutes of time immediately after finishing my exercises. So, having said that, what my original thought was I was just going to do it on Twitter. Because that just made so much sense to me. I just pop on Twitter and say, you know, Season 1, Episode 1, here's my thoughts on it, ... Thank you. 101. You didn't put it towards anything again. But thank you. No donation war. There's nothing to war about. I don't know if I agree with that scene. What was I saying? Right. Clone Wars. So what I was going to do was I was just going to do them on Twitter. Just simple, easy. I'll just put this out and be like, hey, so, is it just me, or did they really emphasize... I don't even get that message.
Your dedication will be rewarded.
What are you people doing? Give me a moment. I need to set an alarm for tomorrow. Apparently, and I just found out about this literally this very minute, I have to get her ready tomorrow morning for going to visit her school. So I'm going to set that alarm to make sure I'm up in time for that, because she goes to the studio. What are you doing?
Pay close attention. Hopefully you'll learn something.
Stop it. So anyways, my original thought was just to do it on Twitter, but I kind of... and my thinking was, quick, easy, you know, just pop into Twitter and be like, hey, you know, this is what I think about Episode 1. This is what I think about Episode 2. This is what I think about Episode 3. You know, etc., etc., etc. Because that's the idea. It's supposed to be something quick and just my general thoughts on a given episode. Then I realized that I think roughly 3 people follow my Twitter. Like, I know that's not true. In fact, I could glance this here. Don't donate, scene. Don't you dare. Nobody else donate. I'm not even looking at those donations right now. I'm finishing this sentence before I look at any donations. I know I don't actually have that many people on Twitter who follow Twitter, who use Twitter at all, which is the other important thing. And I mention that because I know several people who refuse to use Twitter, who refuse to even touch it. And I understand that, to be clear. And in fact, I understand that so much that I was like, well, maybe I don't want to force people to use Twitter. For the reference, most of my announcements go on Twitter. So if you're ever wondering why you're not hearing about stuff, it's because I mentioned it on Twitter. It's pretty much the only social media thing I use. Because Tumblr is just a Q&A forum. I know.
Oh, welcome.
Stop it!
Pay close attention. Hopefully you'll learn something.
I know Tumblr's reputation. I know that it's awful or whatever.
Your dedication will be rewarded.
Like, I don't know specifically, because, again, I use Tumblr as a Q&A. I get questions every day there, and I try to answer them as best as I'm able. So, yay. But anyways, the other option would be to basically set up a page, on my website. To be like, boop, and here's a page. And it would be just the same thing. A few sentences. Just, here's what I think about this one. Here's what I think about this one. Right? Because I absolutely refuse to commit more time to this. This is something I just felt like I'd do for fun that would take me a couple of minutes. Because I do not have time to do anything more than that. So, that leads me to the point. We're going to go ahead and throw up a poll, straw poll here.
Of course you follow me.
Stop it!
They all do.
God damn it.
Your dedication will be rewarded.
Here's the poll for people to vote. Please make sure that you go and vote.
Of course you follow me. They all do.
So that's the Mininations topic. Now I'm going to go see what all these donations are. So let's see here. God, alright, so we've got Zawan. I will be talking about today, by the way, Zawan. Don't worry. I do have that planned. So we've got 20 from Zawan. Thank you very, very much for Cosmodon! I'm not going to do it full tilt because it would, kill my throat. 5 from Sonic Doctor, who is now ahead of... How are you not seeing the poll? Could someone relink the poll? It's there, right? Like, I just linked it in chat. Then 5... So 5 from Sonic Doctor to get ahead of Melcinitin. Then 5 from Melcinitin to get ahead of Sonic Doctor. And then 15 from Raximus, which I'm still having a hard time pronouncing that, but I'm trying really hard. Which says, what am I doing? Other than paying my FF14 sub. And then 30 from Emperor Valerian, which says absolutely nothing, except that he hates my guts, apparently. Then we've got 5 from Sonic Doctor, who says, and I quote, crying, winking, smiley face, exclamation mark, 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 exclamation mark. And then 5 from Melcinitin, or Melcinitin. I always screw that up, so I'm just going to keep saying it both ways. I need a drink.
Of course you follow me. They all do.
And now, we have a donation from Damn You Melcinitin, Sonic for the win, that says, and I quote, hang on. Hang on. Yeah, that's right.
Of course you follow me. They all do.
And the donation from Sonic says, And that is correct, Degal. I haven't gotten to touch STO other than doing the daily stuff every morning. I haven't had time to do anything, guys. I shouldn't have gone to see Mission Impossible 6, but I do like hanging out with my friends every now and again. Then I got a donation from Seend, which says... I'm gonna do my best Clone Wars thing here. Give me a second. How many of you... I'm sorry, real quick, before I get to Seend's donation, how many of you were there for SGDQ this year? And for those of you who were, how many of you were there for the Sonic... not Sonic, the Bionic Commando run? Because what Sonic Doctor's donation was... So Seend's donation says, and I quote, "This will be the first installment towards the Dragon Quest XI premiere run, because damn it, Lore, I'm going to make sure you get the true ending. Lol. You need food." Seriously, guys, if you haven't watched that run, go find it on YouTube. It was really good. It was one of the best runs of the incident. It's okay, Stickerman. I'm not asking for a donation! I appreciate them because this is real life where I need money to live. But I did not ask for them. Ow. Ow. I actually have the shipping receipt right here, Rax. I'm gonna guess sometime next week. I don't know. It's not even in yet. Last I checked, the tracking isn't even in yet. So probably this week. So what do you guys think? Vote. Let me know what you think of it. Blah, blah, blah. No. Oh, that's right. Okay, so let's get to the random stuff, okay? Let's get to the random stuff here. If I'm being honest, Rax, the reason I didn't get to mail it until Friday because I haven't had a chance to get out of the house until Friday when I was on my way to the movies because I've been watching my niece. I hate to keep saying that, but it has been remained true. Where's the current topic? Here we go. Yes, that will be... we'll go ahead and do the Warbringers thing next. If you guys really want me to, that's okay. It's okay, Zenkodak. We know what the cure is. It's a good stabbing. So fine, let's go ahead and do the Jaina Warbringers thing. Hopefully I will not get copy-wronged for this. Because I know they're singing in it. For reference, I have not watched this yet. I have gone out of my way to not watch this in order to have a live reaction to it. Unfortunately, I am aware of some of the content of it, so, you know, how much of that is legit is debatable. Give me a second, let me mute this. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Oop, wrong thing. There we go. This should be it right here. Yep, there we go. What is with the sizing here? Hang on a second. There we go. Okay. No, that's still wrong. What in the world is this doing? This is a very strange sizing. So we're just going to accept that some of it's going to be chopped off the ends, because I don't care that much. So before we start this, let me just pause the music there. Before we actually start this, let me just say that I have liked these little video clips ever since they started doing these back in Pandaria, which is when they really started this process. So, woo, you know, that's always been a good thing, and I've really liked them. That being said, I'm not sure what I think about this, so let's go ahead and hit play and see what we think here. Oh, I suppose I should put myself up so you can see my reaction. Whoa, too big. Go away. There we go. Let's move this over here. There we go.
Beware, beware, the daughter of the sea. Beware, I heard him cry. His words carried upon the ocean breeze as he sank beneath the tide. Those blood-soaked shores of Kalimdor, where sailors fought and died, the admiral fell at their amour because she left his side.
Well, no, you just would have died too.
So daughter of the sea, why did she forget her seaside days? Always the pride of our nation's eye. But there he found, upon those distant shores, enemies on the rise. But when he faced those savage foes, his daughter stood aside and buried deep beneath the waves, betrayed by family, to his nation with his last breath cried, beware the daughter of the sea.
I'm listening now. Father. I heard, across a moonlit sea, the old voice warning me. Beware, beware, the daughter of the sea. Beware, beware of me.
Obviously, Jane is just a dreadlord. Sorry, I had to get that out there. Had to. Hi, it's me again. One moment. Word for word. A massive Alliance naval armada arrived on the shores of Kalimdor. It was led by Jaina's father, Grand Admiral Dalen Proudmoore. The fleet immediately launched attacks against the orcs and nearby troll settlements. Admiral Proudmoore had fought in the Second War, and he'd even lost a son to the Horde. He had no intention of letting the creatures who had nearly destroyed the human kingdoms regain their strength. His goal was nothing less than extermination. Thrall hoped to make peace with the humans, convince them his new horde was not like the old one that had decimated the eastern kingdoms, but he never had a chance to make his plea. Admiral Proudmoore dispatched assassins disguised as emissaries from Theramore to lure Thrall into a trap and end his life. The ruse failed and war became inevitable. Thrall rallied the orcs, the Darkspear trolls, the Tauren, and even the nearby Stonemaul ogre clans from battle. Darkrai New Moon just subscribed with Twitch Prime. Oh, I'm in front of that. I should be behind that. There we go. With fear. Thank you, Darkrai. Time was not on their side. Despite the impassioned urging of his daughter, Jaina, Admiral Proudmoore had taken over Theramore and now had control of both sea and a defensible city. If given time to fortify, he would be able to launch strikes across Kalimdor with impunity. The Horde's armies traveled to Theramore and quietly reached out to Jaina. Thrall asked her to do the impossible, to let the Horde into Theramore so they could kill her father. Otherwise, Dalen Proudmoore would extinguish the Horde forevermore. Unlike her father, Jaina knew Thrall's Horde was different from its predecessor. She had seen that proof with her own eyes. She had stood alongside the Horde against the Burning Legion and witnessed the valor and honor of its soldiers. They wanted the same thing she and many of her followers did, an end to the cycle of hatred between the Horde and the Alliance. She saw the bloodshed between the factions as a distraction. The Scourge and other threats still lingered on Azeroth. The world's noble races needed to be united to focus in strength to focus on their true enemies. She tried to convince her father of that. He refused to listen. Devastated by the seemingly impossible choice, Jaina stood aside, asking only that the Horde spare as many of her people as they could. The armies of the Horde assaulted Theramore and cut their way through the city. Rexxar himself inflicted the mortal blow on Grand Admiral Dalen Proudmoore. He was no stranger to how blind prejudice and hatred could darken the hearts of good soldiers. He had seen that fate befall many members of the old Horde. He urged Jaina Proudmoore to remember her father for the proud warrior he had become, not the person he had... the proud warrior he had been, not the person he had become. Side note. Not only was Grand Admiral Dalen Proudmoore a military commander, but he was also ruler of the human nation of Kultiras. His people cried out for vengeance of his death, but the rest of the Alliance did not seek it. The plague of undeath in Lordaeron had already left the Alliance reeling, and its other leaders had little pity for Dalen Proudmoore, who launched a war of aggression on his own authority. In fury, the people of Kultiras isolated themselves from the rest of the Alliance, but their anger was not focused on Varian Wrynn or any of the other Alliance leaders. Instead, they grew to hate Jaina Proudmoore, the daughter who betrayed family. This isn't a retcon. That's the point. Remember, this came out like a month ago. The reason I wanted to read all that is because I have heard several people say that this is a retcon. It's not. I want to make this really, really clear that this is not a retcon. This is Jaina having issues. Which brings me to my point. This really has a lot of the Third Lich King's fingertips on it, doesn't it? Think about it for a second. No, really. The Third Lich King, as I demonstrated throughout the Legion lore run, has a very subtle approach to things. He doesn't he doesn't go, "You will follow my orders," like the first and the second Lich Kings did. He is in the background. He's quiet. He pushes pieces into a position thinking they will go in a certain direction. Basically, stacking the deck is effectively what the Third Lich King does. And this feels a lot like him stacking the deck. Well, you wouldn't call anyone subtle, to quote it. This feels a lot like him stacking the deck in a direction with her. Hang on. I have a song I want to play right now, if I could find it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. I'll just play this song for no reason. Oh yeah, I saw that, Necro. Now, the problem is we don't 100% know how much of what we just saw is real or not. Because obviously some of it is not real. I doubt the actual faces are in the clouds, for example. And we can also say with reasonable certainty that her lifting up the ship was real. What is more debatable is the spirits that she saw. And the dead that she saw. And her dad, who was in the back of the boat. That could all be in her mind, and that's probably their overall intent. Even though, if I'm being honest, I'm not 100% sure I like that idea. Because let me lay this out for you. We got three options here. Either Miss Proudmoore is legitimately insane. Miss Proudmoore is something more complicated that I'll talk about later, because it really deserves to be another thing. Or Miss Proudmoore is being pushed in a direction. Now, it's worth noting that these three options are not mutually exclusive. It could be all of these things. Let me talk about the second thing, because the second thing is a little more complicated. This woman has... God, okay, so where do we start? She was pretty young when the events of Warcraft 3 happened, and then she watched her lover... Oh, I know they broke up, but as everything will show, she still loved him and he still loved her, so whatever. She watched her lover decide to butcher and massacre... Well, she didn't actually watch. I'm sorry, I should be more specific. She watched the after effects of Stratholme. She saw what became of Stratholme after the fact. Then she went to become a leader of people who weren't really inclined to follow her leadership in a war against an extra-dimensional power that most of them didn't even heard of before, and united against the Horde in this massive battle. Then, shortly thereafter, her father shows up, more or less literally crazed with grief. Side note, as much as I always wanted to smack Dalen, I do like his characterization back in Frozen Throne. I really do. He really does come across as someone who is just completely gone from all that he'd suffered in the Second War. And that makes sense. The Second War was horrific. The Second War was arguably the most devastating war this setting has ever had, with two exceptions, both of which are the Burning Legion and the Burning Legion, respectively. So he comes back. He can't let go. He can't move past this. Those of you who remember Frozen Throne, remember, we tried to reason with him like 5 times, including when he was defeated. Still wouldn't go with it. So she loses her dad. Well, that's messed up. And keep in mind as well, there's a little story note there, and it was back in WoW Vanilla as well. I don't remember actually if it was in Cataclysm, but there's a little story note about the fact that quite a few of the people of Theramore, in other words, the Alliance forces on Kalimdor, decided to... Who set that bot up? Follow him willingly. We're totally cool, but just screw the orcs, right? Kill them, yeah. And in WoW Vanilla, there were like 2 quest arcs and 1 little bit of dialogue, which indicated that many of the people of Theramore were still kind of anti-Jaina because of the events of Frozen Throne, because they agreed with Dalen. Then we fast forward a bit. We have the uneasy truce, which barely lasted for 2 expansions. We have her literally intervening in Undercity. We have the attempted assassination thing, which was actually in the books, but is also codified in the Chronicles. I mean, I'm actually going to stop here. Time after time after time after time after time of thing. There is just... Okay, so it's still in Cataclysm. Sorry. So it is still in Cataclysm. Yeah, there's just stuff hitting her over and over and over. Basically, nothing good has happened to Jaina Proudmoore since Warcraft 3. Which leaves us with now. This is why I say this is more complex. The idea here is that this is a woman who has stopped being capable of coping. That she literally is lost. That she never really had a chance to, for lack of a better term, the assassination attempt that was posited by the Twilight's Hammer against Varian Rin, which was blamed on the Horde, which led to increased Horde and Alliance aggression. That's the assassination I'm referring to. See, here's the difference. There's a reason I list this option separate from the insane option, because insane, as I am defining it, is not crazy. And I don't mean old gods. God, no old gods. No old gods, okay? Let's just leave them out of this. Insane is someone has legitimately snapped. If you are someone who is starting to see actual hallucinations in the manner that is implied in this video, then you are actually insane. Not crazy, not losing it, insane, clinically, chemically insane. You with me? That's why I list that option separate. It's a completely, yeah, it's a mental condition. It's an issue. The second option is a more nuanced thing. The second option is basically that she has snapped. Just that. Hang on, 1 second. There we go. That she has snapped. That she has utterly crumbled under the pressure that's been forced upon her for the last 18 years, I think, at this point. I'm not actually sure about that. And this is just me. I'm one of those people who defended her character back in Pandaria. You remember when everyone made a big deal about how they ruined her character in Pandaria? I was one of those people who was very against that, because I think they did a very good arc with her character back in Pandaria. Now, granted, I saw both the Horde and the Alliance version of those quests, which paints a more clear picture, but the fact remains. What I see here is a woman who... And I know this is going to sound weird. Yeah, I know, right? She just looks broken down. I see a person who never grew up. Now, I want to clarify that statement, because that can actually mean several things. I see a woman who never actually had a chance to build a central core that is herself. That's usually what I personally define as growing up. You define yourself in a centric term, and that then informs everything that you do and everything that you are, right? But she never had a chance to do that. She was still a kid when this conga line of tragedy started. She was still just getting used to... She was studying. The biggest problem on her mind was whether or not she was going to stay with Arthas and studying her magic. And then this plague happens, and then Stratholm happens, and it's been a non-stop ever since. She never had a chance to build this. She always presumed... This is theory. But in my opinion, she always presumed that this core was peace. And yet, time after time after time, this presumed core kept having crap get in the way of it. And one could argue that that is a good core, that it's a core that can exist and should exist. I would argue that as well. However, it's so obvious based on how messed up this setting is why this has been broken down and beaten until she has no core. I know that sounds strange, but imagine for a moment if you have no central identity, no true sense of self. What do you turn to? How about your dead dad and your mom? Hey, Anthony. Pure reactionary. Pure surface. This is a woman who no longer, in my opinion, no longer has the ability to really think about things in a long-term sense. So she goes back to her dad, and she goes back to her mom. And spoilers for BFA, mute me if you don't want to hear this. So I'm going to spoil a small thing about BFA here. Spoilers, 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 spoilers. We know that when she gets back, they hate her. They despise her. They spit on her. They sentence her to exile. And, this is the most important part, she accepts that. She doesn't even fight it. One of the most powerful mages on the planet just says, okay. My heart goes out to Jaina Proudmoore, legitimately. Like, I think this woman, yeah, I agree with you. What could I get from San Francisco? Guys, what's like a thing that my brother-in-law could get me from San Francisco? It's been so long since I've been there. I can't ask for clam chowder, it won't last the trip. This is a woman who's gone. And I know this is going to sound weird, but it reminds me of someone else who's been written by the same team in a similar way. Garrosh. Now, don't take that the wrong way. I don't mean like she's some warmongering, stupid Hitler idiot. What I mean is that Garrosh had no core, remember? That was one of the most important aspects of Garrosh's character. He had no central core. And so he just kind of assumed, like, well, this is important because people say it is. Well, this is important because people say it is. And he just kind of bounced around and caused a colossal mess. Yeah, Garrosh was very mentally and emotionally weak, exactly. And I as much as I hate on Garrosh, he has never been a get-off-my-screen character for me, because I've always defended Garrosh as being a well-written character. in my opinion, with the one exception, which was literally caused by miscommunication from the writing staff. So yeah, we have Miss Proudmoore and issues. Holy crap. This poor woman. Actually, yes, Harriet, because the same people who wrote that aspect of Garrosh are still writing. At least 2 of them. I'm not sure about the rest. Yeah, Greymane's a get-off-the-screen character. He is just... I'm tired of him. I'm tired of him. Get off my screen. Garrosh, yeah! Greymane is basically it for me. As of this point in time. Oh yeah, and Magatha, sorry. I forgot about her because I hate her that much. Magatha needs to get off my screen. Yeah, but a politician does that deliberately, Sylder. So what do I think is going to happen? That's a very good question. Let me get back to the Lich King thing really quick. Let's presume for a moment... Oh, I think if you accept the spoiler that I just said, Leander, she already has. And I agree, by the way, that last little bit... I mean, she sounds so broken and so worn down, the whole thing. At the end, all she has left is rage. Now, that is a typical writing arc for a character, but it's also a writing arc that is typical because it makes perfect sense. Yes, I did, Blackbow. Because when you... Hazardous made the point earlier, if something that is a core-centric belief to your existence is proven wrong over and over and over again, what do? Where do you turn? How do you react? The most basic... core-level human reaction that exists is anger. It is the most fundamental response as a pure reactionary thing. Even in a crisis situation, even on a purely surface level of emotions, anger is one of the first things that happens. Fear usually doesn't happen until after anger or before anger. Like, fear is the lead-up, right? Then, there's a T-Rex in your face. Go, right? Fear and anger are the most fundamental, basic, I actually want to say, rather than fundamental, the most basic human emotions that exist. And, as Necro says, where is that anger placed? Now, we know that she has anger towards the Horde. Absolutely. I mean, the comic showed that, and the video showed that both, right? Both of those were very clear that she is mentally demonizing the Horde. There's this picture in the comic. I can picture it right now in my head. Please forgive me for not having it to put on the screen here. Where she pictures Drekthar. Or not Drekthar, sorry. God, Rexxar. Sorry, Rexxar killing Dalen. Now, for those of us who know Rexxar is a pretty decent guy. He has a very strong moral code. He has a very strong sense of honor and duty and loyalty and helping people and keeping to the wilds and blah, blah, blah. And yet in that picture, Rexxar looks like a goddamn demon who is laughing maniacally as he murders her father. Which, again, is part of her perspective now. Yeah, Rexxar is very chill, exactly. Like, Thrall's a massively flawed character, as I've pointed out many times. I do like him as a character, but he's massively flawed. But Rexxar? Yes! Stabby! No, of course not. In fact, it's so contradictory, I feel like they did that on purpose, just to show how much she either has lost it, like I said, legitimately insane, has no ability to deal with anything anymore, or is being influenced by external things. Or again, any combination of the above. Now, if I can keep going for just a little bit, I want the third Lich King to be involved in this. Because I like the idea. I love the idea that the third Lich King is in little ways just prodding a little bit with her. Because I like this because most of this is still on her. This is still a broken woman. This is still a woman who's been through hell. This is still a woman who is basically cracked under the pressure. That those rods have officially snapped. But I do kind of like the idea that he literally did actually raise a spirit or a ghost or whatever there, just to prod her just a little bit, right? And yeah, as the one points out, you pointed this out earlier too, the guilt is a big deal. This is a woman who's felt guilty since Warcraft 3. In fact, if I could be so bold, one of the things I have always personally theorized that she feels guilty of is that she feels guilty for leaving Arthas at Stratholme. Now, I've said this before, Uther was awesome, but he made mistakes. And one of Uther's biggest mistakes with Stratholme, I've said that since Warcraft 3, since 90 whatever, whenever that came out. And I do think that Uther made a colossal mistake in just ranting and giving rhetoric and abandoning Arthas at Stratholme. However, I've always felt that Jaina always felt that if she had been there, she might have been able to help or change things or guide him in a different way or whatever. That she could have done something. Right? You can't, because it just fits with the character so well for me. That guilt. I should have been there. I should have stayed with him. I should have helped this. I could have stopped this. I love the idea as a writer and as a consumer of fiction of Jaina Proudmoore staring at the Scourge, at the second Lich King, and the incredible scale and scope of devastation and nightmare that they both unleashed, and thinking, I could have stopped that. Now, as Kay points out, Stratholme was always a Kobayashi Maru. It was brilliantly constructed as a trap for Arthas. I don't think her staying would have helped, personally. Like, from a purely objectional third-person perspective, I think if she stayed, things would have actually been worse. I saw that, Necro. I saw they revamped that. So I think they would have been worse if she had stayed. But she probably doesn't think that. Survivor Guild. To use a Star Trek parallel, how many of you think that Picard, logically speaking, would look at the Enterprise and say, oh, well, obviously if I had been there, that wouldn't have changed anything with that battle? No, that's not what's going through Picard's head. What's going through Picard's head is, I wasn't there for my ship when it crashed. Yeah, no, I agree. Ner'zhul's plan was surprisingly well constructed. It's one of the better constructed, like, machinations in Warcraft, in my opinion. Anywho, so yeah, I like the idea, again, my personal take, I like the idea that this is her finally snapping. That this is all of the weight, yes, I'm referring to Star Trek Generations, this is all of the weight, of all of the guilt, of all of the pain, of losing her core, of having no real centric sense of self anymore, and reverting to what she has to do, or what she feels she has to do, or the only thing she knows to do. And then as she's going out and as she's thinking about all these things, there's just this spirit there, and she probably presumes it's not even there, but it actually is. Just like I said, just a little bit of prodding, just a little bit, by the third Lich King. That's what I like, and that's what I think of that one. I was actually kind of hoping we would have a second Warbringer by the time I did this. We don't. It'll probably come out Tuesday, based on or Monday or Tuesday, based on the current thing. Yeah, I know, right? So I will hold off on the next Warbringer to watch that live next Loreweek as well. What is the third Lich King's goal? That is a good question. Now, yeah, I heard you say that, Dream Whisperer. I'm not sure what I think of that. So far, to my knowledge, there is still no concrete information on what happened as far as the burning of Teldrassil. I have done the pre-launch events that are live as of now. I have seen the pre-launch events that were on the beta all the way through. There's still a blank hole when it comes to the burning of Teldrassil. We'll see. We'll see. If it's Sylvanas, this would be what I would call, if I was reviewing it, a negative to story. I'm just going to say that bluntly as I can. Anywho. Gosh, I can't think of anything, period. Maybe something for the little one? Question mark? Of course I do, Saldier. Although that's a different type of guilt. The specific type of guilt I was going for, Saldier, was the I wasn't there to prevent it. Whereas in Battle of Wolf 359, this is my fault. Little different shades of guilt there. The third Lich King could be not completely evil. That is possible. We don't actually know. It's one of the reasons he's so damn terrifying. I mean, seriously. We don't really know what he's up to, what he's after. We do know that he's anti-Legion, but that doesn't mean anything, because everyone's anti-Legion. The old gods are anti-Legion. The Void is anti-Undeath, though. Make of that what you will. No, we do have factual evidence of that now. Anyways, the old god. Can I give a quick side story before we move on to my next topic? So my niece has been playing the Switch a little bit. I've been kind of trying to get her more into video games. I shouldn't say I'm trying to get her more into video games. That's actually inaccurate. She has been wanting to get more into video games, and I've been trying to help her get into video games that I think would be good for her. So she's been playing Splatoon 2 by herself, without any help. I mean, there's no easy mode or anything like that. She really likes Splatoon 2. It's really cute. And, of course, she's been running around being like, I'm a squid, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to get my... We're running on upstairs, you know, just playing. And she'd grab, like, her little toy broom and be like, I've got my rolling pin. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to paint all of this with pink ink. It's extremely cute. So, you want my thoughts on the Sylvanas, Ashara, Jaina? Obviously, the three of them are intended to be important characters in the coming expansion. I have to admit, when I first found... Yeah, she's been playing Mario Odyssey as well. And Dragon Quest Builders. Those are the 3 games she's been playing a lot of recently. A lot of. Listen to me. Ashara surprised me. We knew that Ashara was going to be a raid boss. We knew that Ashara was going to be in BFA. Having one of the Warbringer videos about her is genuinely surprising. We could say, with relative certainty, that every one of these videos is about someone very core and central to the story. We could say that, but that's not true because of Warlords. So, theoretically, that is... That sounds horrible, okay? Theoretically, that does sound like this should be something that should be relevant to the story. In other words, the idea that Jaina, Ashara, and Sylvanas are all very critical to the story. But again, Warlords. Having said that, if we are to presume that all 3 characters are critical to the story of BFA, that leaves us in an interesting position. Sylvanas' significance to the story is frankly obvious. I don't even feel the need to discuss that. Not that I'm aware of, Saldier, no. As weird as this is going to sound, I'm not sure what Miss Proudmoore's significance is to the story. I know that sounds strange, because we're going to Kul Tiras. But how does she matter to the overall plot of BFA? And then we have Ashara. Now, Ashara's technically been active for a long time. She's functionally been active since, since Frozen Throne. The connecting point between these 3 things, in my opinion, and this is pure speculation, is the idea that all 3 of these individuals are people who... I'm trying to think of how to phrase this without using simplistic characters. All 3 of these are characters who have complex nuanced backstories, extensive backstories, have been major characters in the setting for a long time, are broken, and are functionally villainous. Whether they are actually evil or not is more debatable, but they are definitely villainous as of this point in time. And all three of them are probably responsible for Kefka. Now, I know that's an unusual thing since all of them came out after Kefka existed, but they use their time travel part. No, the idea that all three of them are bringing war. And I know that sounds so stupid to say that. But what I mean is that all three of them feel like they're actively pushing for this for reasons that are related directly to their broken nature. With Sylvanas, especially based on the book, mild spoilers, what we have here is Sylvanas. Oh, it's okay if I snap my neck on camera style here. You'll all get to watch me die. What we have here is Sylvanas, despite everything, to me... Whoa. We don't want to play this song. That song is called Hatred. Let's rewind back to this song here. Is that Sylvanas is someone who is basically broken as of this point in time. Legitimately. Now, Sylvanas is also evil, but I also think that Sylvanas is evil in addition to being broken. That this is a woman who... Well, let's look at her tragedy conga line, shall we? So, first of all, she met nothing but resistance and aggravation while she was trying to be the Ranger General for her people, was the one who was most involved with the aristocratic politics of her people, the High Elves, and also was the one who constantly had to fight against other people pissing her off and just preventing her from doing the right thing. Then she died fighting Arthas, and she literally went to what is effectively Warcraft Heaven. I know it's not literally called Heaven, but it was this wonderful, beatific, amazing place of joy and peace. She went to heaven. Then she was ripped back out of heaven and turned into an abomination. Then she was forced into servitude, into destroying her own people, whom she had gone through all this sacrifice and hardship already to save. Then she was allowed loose just a little bit, and all she cared about was revenge against Arthas, not recognizing, or probably, let's be honest with ourselves, not caring about exactly what the true nature is between Arthas, Death Knight Arceus, and the first Lich King and the second Lich King. Then she spent all of her energy and effort focused solely on one thing. Killing Arthas and then killing herself. Everything from Frozen Throne to WoW Vanilla to WoW BC to WoW Wrath was all, I don't mean a literal abomination, Black Vial, smack, smack, smack. All of that time was spent and focused on a singular focused goal, and that is kill Arthas, kill myself. So she didn't give a crap about anything else. And this is true and demonstrated throughout all of her interactions, especially in hindsight. She just didn't give a damn. Yeah, go do whatever. Varimathras? Yeah, sure, serve me. I don't care. As long as I get to him, I don't give a damn, right? Finally kills him. Finally kills herself. She's in hell. And I know it's not literally hell. It's just a place of utter darkness and horribleness where everything is a nonstop state of fear and terror and pain. So she goes to hell, where Arthas is, the real Arthas. Still pisses me off. And, oh god, so she's ripped out of that. Then we have Cataclysm. Now, I've already described her character arc in Cataclysm. But my point being, as of Cataclysm, this was a woman who had lost her core. You see how we've already got a little bit of connection point here. Now, Ashara is the interesting one, because we don't know that much about Ashara, not really. We know that Ashara was a very powerful mage, one of the most powerful mages, probably in history. We also know that Ashara was the Valkyr did, Andre. We know that Ashara was ridiculously powerful. She was incredibly vainglorious, and depending on what you consider canon, she was willing to be okay with Sargeras literally being physically summoned into the world to destroy Azeroth, at least in part because she felt that he was the only one who could be her equal. So that does give us a little insight into her character. Unfortunately, that's about when that insight stops, because all we know after that point is that she and her people were smashed to the bottom of the ocean, and in desperation and literally dying, they accepted a pact with Unzoth, in order to turn into the Naga. And we don't really know much after this point. So I don't know how to speculate on Ashara. I will admit, when they announced the 3 Warbringer videos, Ashara was the one that surprised me the most. So I hope we will get more insight into her character, kind of like we did with Gul'dan. As far as the 3rd Lich King pulling Sylvanas' strings, that is probably the single most common theory I've heard for explaining what the hell is going on with Sylvanas right now. I'm dead serious. I've heard many people speculate on what the hell is going on with Sylvanas right now. And the 3rd Lich King being involved is the most common answer I always hear for that. Makes sense, if I'm being honest. It is his style. I know that Ashara is there, Dance Yourself, but that's the only one I know off the top of my head. I agree, Draculus. I hope we see more of Ashara as we go through. I guess we'll find out. I'm actually basically out of water here. Other options with Sylvanas? As I mentioned before, post-Kata, Sylvanas' only core motivation was fear. Stay out of hell, the dark, at any cost. And so, and I talked about this during the WoW lore run, all of her actions throughout Kata make perfect sense if you presume that this is a woman who is more or less crazed because of fear, because of a non-stop terror of dying. Oh, you're talking about Uldir. Right, Uldir is the first raid. I forgot about that, since it's going live in October or whatever. So Sylvanas was pushed by that throughout Kata, and then Sylvanas kind of took a backseat characterization-wise for 2 expansions. She didn't really do much, but things also kind of stabilized. The war against... She helped in the war against Garrosh because she was as anti-Garrosh as anybody. She hated his guts. And there was also the little thing with her sisters, and that really didn't go well. And that, I think, was probably the defining moment to explain where Sylvanas is at right now, emotionally and mentally. I know this sounds weird, because I don't want to sound like I'm defending Sylvanas. But, that being stated, what Verisa did to Sylvanas was messed up. I talked about this in the Legion lore run. Yeah. Don't you have Death Coil still? Dream Whisperer? I feel like I took that talent. So, for those of you not aware, let's just 100% this. This is what Verisa did. Remember, Kata to Pandaria, to the end of Pandaria, Sylvanas basically had nothing going for her other than fear. Then her sister reaches out to her. Verisa reaches out to Sylvanas, and Sylvanas reaches back, and they're like, hey! And there's actually a bit of a reconciliation going on between the two. And the two actually start becoming close again, and for the first time since Warcraft 3, does this sound familiar? For the first time since Warcraft 3, Sylvanas actually has some purpose, some good in her life, something to exist for, etc., etc. Well, I agree, Necro, but I'm building up to that point for those of you not aware of this. So she is really caring about her sister and wanting to build this new life with them, and it'll be great and awesome. So we'll kill you and we'll raise you as undead. I've got the Valkyr. I'm willing to burn a Valkyr on you, my sister. We'll do it with your kids. It's cool. We got this. Verisa, without telling her, without discussing this with her like a reasonable adult would do, instead basically bails on her. Decides not to poison Garrosh. Oh, by the way, the poisoning was Verisa's idea. That's worth noting. Decides not to go through with the plan against Garrosh, bails on her, and abandons Sylvanas and never talks to her again. Sylvanas did not take that well. And why would she? Because that's the hope spot, right? You've had horribleness for years, but then there's something good, something legitimately good that might happen here. Nope, it's taken away. That right there is one of the worst things that can happen to a human being. I know she's not human, but you get my point. That is one of the worst things that can happen to a living sentient sapient being. So she snaps. A very personal betrayal. Very personal betrayal. The next we see of Sylvanas is that she has basically abandoned all of that crap. As we see in Legion and in the story surrounding Legion and leading up to BFA, Sylvanas is at the point now where nothing matters, where there's no point in any of this. She even has this statement where she's like, death is really preferable, so I would be doing the people of Stormwind a favor if I killed them all. They would be grateful to me for that. So in other words, the other options here about Sylvanas is that she is gone. Is that she is a completely broken and, to borrow what someone in chat said earlier, demented person. That she is wrong in the head as of this point in time. And that she just is going completely off the deep end. Not in a crazy way, not in a Caligula way. Funny story. Funny little side note. Sylvanas preaches the idea that death is preferable, right? That death is a good thing. Did you know that the first Lich King never did that? The first Lich King saw death as a method to power. The second Lich King saw it as a method for his own, a tool, basically. We don't know what the third Lich King thinks about that because we haven't had that much internal characterization for him yet. The only other person the only other major character in Warcraft history who has legitimately thought that death is a good thing is Kel'Thuzad. I'm not saying necessarily there's a connection there. I'm just saying most people don't think in that direction. So this is the other option. Oh yeah, but I'm sorry, I should actually mention the comic to continue the Sylvanas story. Sylvanas goes to a private meeting between Illyria and Verisa. Now, several aspects of that comic actively pissed me off. Like, really pissed me off. However, one of the best things that comic did was it showcased the idea that Sylvanas went to that meeting to murder Illyria and Verisa. And didn't. Now that's interesting to me. The former makes sense. Remember, demented. Literally doesn't think right. But at that meeting, Verisa apologized. Which was something she was completely not expecting. It completely got Sylvanas across the knees. She had no idea how to deal with that. Verisa apologized and Illyria tried to reach out to her. And both of those were things that she couldn't process. You could just tell that Sylvanas was just just didn't work in the new way her brain works. And that stalled her, derailed her completely. She even mentions afterwards, she kind of recovers like, no, I'm definitely going to kill them all in the end. Definitely. Give me a minute. By all accounts, it seems to be an honest apology. However, this is a comic, so we don't have voice acting, and we don't have internal dialogue to determine. So that is a presumption that is an honest apology. Yeah, no kidding, Dakota. For anybody curious, one of the things that pissed me off about it was the whole, the Horde must be redeemed. Excuse me, the Blood Elves will be redeemed by being brought back into the Alliance. Because that's what redemption means, right? Going to the Alliance? That pissed me off. Anyways, well, Verisa's nothing at the moment, but yeah, Verisa becoming Fel would be interesting. I thought about for a while if there's any, shall we say, magical connections between Ashara, Jaina, and Sylvanas, but I don't really think there are. Sylvanas is death, and frankly, actually fairly low tier when it comes to personal power in the setting. Ashara is a mage, or at least she was. We don't know what she is now, and obviously is extremely high tier. Miss Proudmoore is a mage, and Frost Mage specifically, and very high tier. There's not a lot of connection points between magic, frost, and undeath. I do remember that, Dakota. I know. For those of you who haven't seen me show this before, I'm going to show you a picture that I put together because holy crap. Give me a moment. I gotta be honest, I really hope BFA is good. I really do. Because right now I don't think it will be. Just to be blunt. There's been way too much of this right here. There's been way too much of this, and it's been pissing me off. I did not get into this game to play the good guys versus the bad guys. That's what Warcraft 2 was about. Which mage school is the strongest in terms of lore? Arcane. That's not even a question. Arcane affects a lot, changes a lot, and technically can control the other two. Oh yeah, by the way, for those of you who don't really understand this picture, this is from Season 1 of Star Trek The Next Generation, where the director told the Ferengi, those are the guys on the left, to act like, I forget the exact phrasing, but it was like the crazed gibbering gerbils or something like that, right? And Riker was told, that's Jonathan Frakes on the right, was told to stand proud and strong, tall, the good guy. Because subtlety is not Star Trek's strong suit. So, versus the Alliance. Yeah, no, that's not what I got into this game. To be blunt, that's not what I got into this franchise for. Warcraft 2 was a good game, and Warcraft 1 started my love affair with strategy games in general. But Warcraft 3 is what made me fall in love with the franchise and made Warcraft one of my favorite franchises of all time. You know what Warcraft 3's central predominant point was? Putting aside the old hatreds to deal with real threats. Sorry. I know I've been ranting about this for literally over a decade. I apologize. I think you can play a Ferengi in STO. I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Warcraft 3 was awesome. Anyways, I've actually been wanting to replay Warcraft 3 recently. Yeah, probably Necro. We'll see. We'll see. At this point, my opinion on BFA is we'll see. I've already bought it. I'm already going to play it. I don't know how I'm going to stream it. The timing is awful. It's going to come out when I'm cramming YouTube videos, so I don't know how I'm going to stream it. I'll try to figure something out. I'm doing something for BFA. I just don't know what. Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Black Val. For Azeroth. Anywho. I do have another couple quick things I just wanted to show here really quick on stream. So let's go ahead and move to the stupid random stuff that I mentioned like 3 topics ago. Just get rid of current topic. Boop. Well, God, I've been talking for 2 hours. And I have no liquid left. I know, Blue Wolf Alex. So this showed up this week. The Final Fantasy Ultimania. Oh, it's kind of firstly thing there. If you can't tell, it's still in its wrapping. I have not had time to open this. Someone name a Final Fantasy between 1 and 6. Come on. There we go. I see a lot of 5s there. Oh yeah, by the way, I won't be doing 4-Job Fiesta this year, if I didn't make that clear already. I could have that 1 week, and you guys voted for me to work on YouTube stuff instead, so I worked on YouTube stuff. That was my option. That was my window. Like I said, this summer has been absolutely crammed. So, 5, huh? Ooh, God, this thing's thick. Heavy. Holy crap. There's a bunch of Amano art. It's all terrible. Look, I'm sorry. I don't like Amano's art. I never have. Final Fantasy V. Here we go. Here's the different first. You know, considering we don't really have a, like, definitive edition of FF5, it's funny how many versions we have. We've got the original Super Famicom, the PlayStation versions, the Japanese and the anthology one, the collection version, the limited edition anniversary package, the GBA version, the Wii and Wii U console, the PS3 console, and the limited edition for PlayStation. Amano art, Amano art, Amano art. Okay, here we go. Oh, thank God, they're taking... It looks like they took pictures of the SNES version and literally, like, put a new text box on it to show English text there. And it's the GBA text, I recognize it. But that's not the GBA font. It's interesting. It's an interesting way to do that. I actually saw that, Darkrai. I was going to ask you, but I assumed you either hated me or something was up. There's a nice little... Ugh. So that's kind of showcased. So we got the generic story over here. Connections between characters. Ugh. As we can see here. The Warriors of Light. Kryl or Kryle. We still don't know. I'm going to listen to how they pronounce it in FF14 when I get there and try to use that from now on. Exdeath, Enkidu, Gilgamesh. Not a lot of characters here, because there's not actually that many characters, really. 5. Bartz! A young nomad who is awesome. Several quotes of his. He's apparently male. Who knew? 20 years old, 176 centimeters tall, 58 kilograms. I don't know metric off the top of my head. They have this little section here just called Memorable Scenes, and it's just memorable character moments for him, which is really cool here. Lena, 19. She does not act that old. Seron Hazardous. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, since I know you all care, Lena's weight is 45 kilograms. Galuf, or Galuf, or Galuf, or Galuf, or Galuf. I've heard a few. Memorable scenes. His death is, of course, on here. Spoiler alert. Character stuff. The King of Tycoon is in here. Dorgan is in here. Holy crap. Zizat. Zizat? Their full names are in here, too. Alexander Highwind Tycoon is apparently the name of Lena's father. I like Galuf, by the way. That's how I say it, and that's how I'm going to keep saying it. Dorgan Klauser. Kelger Vlondet. Zezat Matthias Sergate is his name. Sid Previa. Mid Previa. What else we got here? Exdeath. Oh, he doesn't have another name. Ekusudesu, if I'm reading that correctly. Gilgamesh has a surprisingly small section here. See you around, Darkrai. Captain of Exdeath's Guard, who serves alongside his master and his monster companion Enkidu. Gilgamesh was strong enough to topple the forces guarding Bal Castle, but he finds arbitrary excuses to flee whenever battles aren't going his way. Each time that Gilgamesh crosses swords with Bart's party, he grows increasingly fond of the heroes. Apparently he dies and he's not in any of the games. Who knew? Nice maps with very nice rendering there. Random monster pictures. Random little tidbits of information here. Like, this is how this boss works. Like for example. Oh yeah, sure. Ugh. Here's the cover. Here, I'll put it a little closer. There we go. Amano art, Amano art, Amano art. Okay, this is heavy. Oof. This is just awkward. It's weight. Wow, there's actually a lot of boss information here, but it's just like little tidbits. Like Enuo, who is a warlock who obtained the power of the void 1,000 years prior. This illustration was produced by Tetsuya Nomura for the GBA version, with the shoulders including elements of Exdeath's design. I was going to say, that looks a lot different than Amano's style. Oh, hey. Many monsters from FF5 were based on Tetsuya Nomura's design. Some of the monsters here did not end up in FF5 and ended up instead in FF6. Apparently, he designed Omniscient, or whatever the hell the name of the boss is. The Old Man Summoner. Oh, here we go. The Necromancer, the Sorcerer, Alte Roite, Omniscient, Cherry, Gilgamesh, of course. We all knew Nomura designed Gilgamesh. Biosoldier, Shadow Dancer. Jesus, a lot, actually. Holy crap. There are a lot of designs here that Nomura did. Did he do the super gross things? Let's see here. I don't see any super... Oh, I do see one super gross thing. The Blob Unknown. He designed. Damn it, Nomura! Oh, no. He actually apparently designed it all three unknowns. Ugh. Super gross. Seriously, have you ever been to the unknown section of FF5? It's just so gross. Oh, absolutely, Shock. I'm glad you enjoyed. Thank you. Yeah, Nomura has done some good stuff. He also did several versions, apparently, of Neo X Death. Including being filled with fear. Thank you very, very much, Shadow Machine. Welcome to the Baker's Dozen Club, and as ever, much appreciated. Thank you. The SGDQ video I recommended was the one that just came out this year, Dream Whisperer. If there's both, I don't know which one it is. I don't know the names. He also sketched out Shinryu. Bleh. So I'm looking at the Windrake Boko. Yeah, apparently, in order to design the different appearances for all the jobs, they literally just sat down with a template and sketched them all out so that they could then sprite them. This is actually really cool for those of you who like game design. So hang on a second. Ugh. Okay, you can't really see it. It's because it's black and white. It's just stencils, but this is rough sketches of each of the jobs: Knight, Monk, Thief, Dragoon, etc. And then more job sketches. And then... Ugh. This, you can kind of start to see them here. They colored them in to show exactly which colors, which pixels should be, which of course leads to this, and this actually shows how they lined up the artistry with the pixels in order to design this and actually make the pixel art, which they ended up putting into the game. And this, of course, actually showcases the field sprites and how they did that, which is some really cool stuff if you care about that. You probably don't. They even have battle programming notes in here for which sections of the battle area should be accomplished by which animation, at which code, and the palettes which affect things. There's just a lot of really cool programming and graphics programming stuff here, which is awesome. There we go. What else have we got here? They apparently did a world map for publicity. I didn't know about that. They also have design notes that they give to the artists. What do we got here? Anything interesting? Whoa, we're doing it again. Let's switch to, I don't know, the 5th Final Fantasy. How's that sound? That sounds like a good idea. What am I doing about turn paging? What do you want from me? This is really small text. Please forgive me. Sage Guido. Design. 1,000-year-old tree. A sage from the other world who guides Bartz's group. Guido was once master to X-Death. That's interesting. And then some rough character sketches. Cool moments from the game, along with quotes. The ending. And then there's this random game called FF6, which nobody cares about at all. Oh, we actually know the blood type of characters in FF6, and their constellation, and their birthday, and things they like and dislike. Is this random trivia thing a thing in Japan? Jesus. Locke has O blood type. Very important. Alright, I'll skip to Kefka. Hang on, let's get past these here. Hey, there's this guy named Setzer. He's kind of cool, right? I guess we're up to FF6 now, so we should switch accordingly, shouldn't we? Well, yeah, blood type is important in real life. But in fiction? Umaro, age 4. What? I think Umaro is actually the youngest FF character to date. I'm not sure about that. Oh, hey, Sid! Who is this weirdo? Oh, blood type is personality. Gotcha. Ah. Yeah, I gotta redo the whole FF marathon, guys. Sorry. I don't see this Kefka guy. I see... Oh my god, that is hideous. Amano apparently did an artwork of Auser, and he looks like a hut. He literally looks like a hut. Oh. Where's Kefka? Did I just miss him? Oh, there's Kefka. Oh god, Kefka has several pages. As he should. Hometown, unknown. Age 35. Guys, I'm officially older than Kefka. Birthday, November 19th. Constellation Scorpio. Height, 167. Weight, 48. Blood type, AB. He treasures mirrors? He likes General Leo. What? He dislikes playing with dolls. Okay. A user of artificial magic who serves as a Gestalian Emperor's right-hand man. An injection of magic power shattered Kefka's psyche and filled him with a hunger for destruction. He commands the Imperial forces and cruelly toys with human lives throughout the realm during his fight against the Returners. Before long, Kefka devises a way to turn dead espers into pure magicite. By mastering this colossal power, he revives the long-dormant gods of magic, the Warring Triad. Kefka then murders Emperor Gestal, transforming into a being of destruction who rules a ruined world. Maintaining a certain level of humanity is customary, even on the battlefield, but the rules of war mean nothing to Kefka. Dismissing his subordinates, he poisons the river that supplies water to Doma Castle, killing every man, woman, and child within its walls. Wow. Gestal was apparently 50. Okay, fair enough, Blue Wolf. Hey, it's the Ghost! Ghost, occupation, Ghost. Likes hell, dislikes heaven. Interests, floating. There's also information for Bannon. Let's see. Hometown, South Figaro. He's 54. He's actually older than Gestal. Blood type A. Likes peace. Dislikes chaos. He's not a fan of FF1. He has an interest in reading. There's the world. Boss designs. Oh my god, Dataluma looks so weird. I'm not going to succeed at getting you this picture. Hang on a second. Okay, so... Yeah. I don't even know you can see it. There you go. This guy, right in the middle-ish. That's Dataluma. He just looks weird there. I mean, I know, it's a mono. Yeah. God, this thing is awkward to hold. This thing is heavy. Like, not actually heavy, just awkward heavy, you know what I mean? Oh, hey, there's Doomgaze. Oh, hi, Doomgaze. Oh, yeah, is Ultros in here? Where's Ultros? There's Typhon. Where's Ultros? Oh, hey, here's Nomura's designs. The three fiends. We already knew that. And the Warring Triad. Where's Dude, where's Ultros? You gotta have Ultros. They don't have Ultros. They don't have Ultros! Why don't they have Ultros? That's so weird. They have a lot of sprites. And sprite design. Who is this? Oh, wow! Sprites of Terra before her design was finalized. Not only is her hair blonde, but it's not in a ponytail. She looks like Isla from Chrono Trigger. No joke. She looks just like Isla from Chrono Trigger. Like, imagine Isla's sprite in FF6's design, and that's exactly what she looks like. Oh, hey, here's Daryl. The sketch of Setzer's departed girlfriend. A signature FF caricature is drawn next to a more realistic portrait, with added detail regarding Daryl's garments. Huh. This actually shows the encounter boxes. So for those of you not aware, most of... Oh, wow, that's kind of reflecting that weird, isn't it? Most of Final Fantasy games, up to and including 9, I believe, have encounter boxes, although this really affected things from 6 and earlier. Ow. So in other words, you literally drew a event area, and all of the encounters, the random encounters in the overworld and whatnot, were all the same, pulled from the same pool for this particular encounter area. So there's actually a drawing here that shows each of the encounter boxes in the overworld and the World of Balance. It's really cool looking. There's also one for World of Ruin, too. There's also the intended dungeon order list, which I find hysterical. So apparently the way you're supposed to do it is rescue Sabin, get Gao back. This is after getting the airship. Rescue Sabin, get Gao back, get Terra back, do the underground castle next, go to hang on. Yeah, okay. Go to Narsh next, then Mount Zozo, then the Phoenix Cave, then G-Door's painting haunted house. Where's that? I don't know what that is. Oh, then go to the Colosseum. Then you're supposed to go to Doma Castle, and then you're supposed to do the last dungeon, in that order. Interesting. Oh, no, that's cool. See you around, Ashar. So this is from the original script for Final Fantasy VI. During the opera event, Biggs. Okay, let's go with that plan. Wedge. I'll climb the catwalk, and from there I'll drop icicles on their heads. Biggs. How heavy are they? Wedge. 4 tons. Biggs. They'll be squashed for sure. Wedge. Yep, they'll leave this world. Biggs. This thing's heavy. It'll take some time to drop it. Wedge. I'll keep these guys busy in the meantime. There was actually apparently supposed to be a timed battle with Biggs and Wedge. Basically, think of it as the reverse of the Demon Wall in FF4. Like, they're getting further away from you as they push this ton thing over. And you had to defeat them before they pushed the ton thing over and it fell on Celeste down below. And once you defeated them... oh, here we go. So Biggs pushes it. You can only fight with Wedge. You cannot target Biggs. You lose the battle if time runs out and the weight falls on the stage, or... Okay, Celeste dodges at the last second, but the performance is ruined! Go ahead, Dream Whisperer. Ow! The party then tackles Biggs. Everyone falls to the stage with force. And they fall into Draco and Rels. Then they have a battle between Biggs and Wedge. This is funny! They also have little tidbits for planning exactly what was going to show up in the ending, and what they were going to show during the ending, which is really cool. I'm just going to skip through this. Dungeon gimmick ideas. What are you linking, Dream Whisperer? I kind of prefer Biggs and Wedge too, if I'm being honest. So yeah, they had the ceiling crashing thing that was in Go-Go's dungeon. I can't think of the name of it. Inside the Zone Eater. They're going to have being able to fall through a dungeon. They were going to have... Oh, they were actually going to have the ice puzzles from Pokemon in this at one point in time. They're going to have a digging mechanic at one point in time. Shifting tiles, as in moving tiles in a dungeon. What is this, Lufia 2? What else we got here? More digging. Oh, hey, here's the minecart section. Originally, the minecart section was actually going to be side-scroller, and you were actually going to jump and interact with it. Anyone ever play Super Mario RPG? Because that's exactly what this looks like. What else we got here? They were going to have a maze where you couldn't see the walls. That sounds terrifying. Oh, I see. Oof. There was going to be a... Yeah, what? So you had to move rocks into a pattern within a timer, otherwise you'd have a random encounter. Interesting. Yeah, they totally made it, yeah. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of these do look very Super Mario RPG-ish. And we know they recycle ideas, because any smart company would recycle ideas, so that makes perfect sense. Hey, Ultros! On the Leith River, the sudden appearance of the 8-armed freak surely will not be the last time, even though it's the only time he's in the book. And there's some quotes from people. Let's see. Let's pull a quote from Yoshinori Kitase. That sounds like a good one, right? It's been about 20 years since my first jaunt with Final Fantasy, beginning with FF5. That was the 4th game I worked on after joining Square, and the Final Fantasy series was always known for its challenges. I inherited the spirit of those who came before me, and I dedicated myself to making something truly new. Looking back on it now, I was too reckless and rough with my creation process. There are several places I was so unrefined, and I find it embarrassing. But putting that aside, I enjoy this title for the power you can feel from it. Some newer members of the development staff now tell me they played FF6 or FF7 as a child. In talking with those staff members, I never use words like FF-like. I feel like such language will restrict the expression of new members and put them into a box of sorts. I am not Gene Roddenberry. Oh, sorry. A work packed with reckless energy and restriction, we can leave it to the critics or future historians to see what would be considered FF-like. What we can do is keep giving you new surprises and new stories. If that bears a fruit called excitement in the hearts of our fans, I believe it'll give birth to all sorts of things that'll be considered FF-like. With consideration to Final Fantasy's 20th anniversary, I believe the next 25 years will lead to new types of FFs made by new people. Please look forward to it. Yoshinori Kitase. Ah! Cool. Now, someone asked me to look at something back in FF2, which would be here. All the pages are color-coded, which is kind of awesome, actually. Oh, hey, it's early... I'm sorry, really quick. It's early design documents from FF1. Story setting. A fantasy world, the story is centered on Cornelia Castle, inhabited by a king possessed of good conscience, common sense, and hope. The story progresses through several situations in a world of raging seas, deserts, an undersea shrine, a deep maze of earth and stones, caves, a bog of scrap, a mirage tower, and a volcano. See separate map reference for document. At the start of the story, the world is thrown into chaos by evil monsters. Its influence reaches underground through the earth and the heavens, across space and time and another dimension. Regions like Cornelia Castle are barely holding on to life, but even these are in a precarious state. Interesting. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, hold on a second. So I mentioned how many different versions of FF5 there were. Let's see how many versions of FF1 there are. Amano art. Okay. So we have the original NES, the MSX2, the original Famicom, the WonderSwan Color, the WonderSwan Color Bundle, the PlayStation Anthology, the PlayStation Limited, iMode, the GBA, the Easy Web, the Yahoo version, the PlayStation, the PSP version, the Wii version, the Wii U version, the PS3/PS Vita version, the PSP Ultimate Hits version, the iPod version, the Vita digital version, the Android version, the Windows version, and the Windows Phone version, and the limited edition anniversary version. Skipping forward back a bit here. So FF2, let's see if we can find anything about Emperor Matthias Palamecia, whose name might even be in this. Where is he? Emperor. It is called Emperor Matthias. What do you know? It's right there. Let's see. Oh, this is funny. For the characters, Furion, Maria, and Guy, we know their gender, hometown, and dominant hand, and nothing else. Oh, Leon's here too, sorry. Minwoo, Joseph, Gordon, Rickard, hate that name, Layla, or Layla, Hilda, for some reason. Ah, here we go. The Emperor. Hometown, Palamecia. The conceited, arrogant Emperor of Palamecia, his ambition for world conquest causes him to summon monsters from hell, using their strength to overthrow every country that resists. Although defeated by Furion's party inside his ultimate weapon, the Cyclone, spoiler alert, the Emperor finds even greater power in the underworld. He seizes the throne of Castle Pandemonium in hell and schemes to destroy all living creatures on Earth. And yeah, he's also mentioned right here, Emperor Matthias. Who knew? There's Sid, who's barely a character in 2. Paul, who I bet most of you don't even remember from 2. Borgen, Scott. The terrible, terrible world map. I already discussed that during the lore run. I'm sorry, but the world map was just awful for FF2. The final form of the Emperor boasts incredibly enhanced stats, making it a foe worthy of an end boss. Disagree. In addition to high magic defense, the Emperor is almost invulnerable to normal weapons, but the Blood Sword is far from ordinary. With its accuracy and high percentage of maximum hit points it removes every hit, the Blood Sword is the best tool for defeating the Emperor of Hell. It's missing an H, Saldir. That's what's wrong with it. Okay, so here's the development notes. What do we got here? Oh, wow. So they're noting tile sets and how they were going to do tile sets for dungeons. So we've got walls, stone walls, limestone walls, destroyed walls, vine walls, castle walls. Oh, here we go. Grass and water. Anus and intestines. That's the fish stomach. I'm not kidding. That's what it says right here. The Cyclone, Palamecia, Limestone Cave, Water Cave, Grass Cave, Waterfall Cave, Valley Cave, and the Pandemonium was apparently originally supposed to be corridors from different levels instead of the crystalline thing. Oh my goodness. Wow. So I'm looking at the original development of the world map, and this is one of the most basic things I've ever seen in my life. It probably helps to explain why the final world map was so bleh. Look, no offense, but the world map in FF2 was just bad. There are 53 enemies in FF2, apparently. 3, 4, 5, 6 of which are bosses. Wait, no, that's not right. That makes no sense. Hang on. 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of which are bosses. Excuse me. Palette assignments. Scenario planning. I'm sorry. Names for characters in the scenario planning. Furion, temporary name. Leon, temporary name. Maria, temporary name. Guy, temporary name. Now, I know that probably means that they allow you to rename those characters, See you around, Dakota. But all I can think of is that they hadn't decided on the character names yet, and they just stuck with it because they didn't have time to come up with anything new. Because we know FF2 was super rushed. It was one of the most rushed FFs of the older ones. Story progression. Let's see here. We're introduced to Cynthia. Who the hell's Cynthia? So we had Gordon, Minwu, Hilda, Sid, Joseph, Paul, and Cynthia, who are all in Altair. We must join the fight, but the princess says no. The princess can use magic if she has the crest of Finn. She wants to use magic to save her father, who is the king. So you meet the rebels in Finn Castle, go to the underground, show the rebel seal, get the crest of the princess, join the rebellion, get a canoe. King Finn rests. Princess cries where no one can see her. This is the original story planning here. Use the canoe to go to Palom. Pay money for a ridership, go to Poth, put on disguise, go to Basque. Save Joseph's daughter, earn Joseph's trust, get the mithril. Joseph does not die. I'm sorry, so this is just the story outline, right? So this is word for word from the story outline. Bafsk. In Bafsk, the Dark Knight switches with Borgin. Borgin's an idiot. Get help from the townsfolk to go to the underground and into the Dreadnought. Head into the bowels of the Dreadnought and destroy it. Leon appears right before you destroy it. Warp to the world map. At the same time, Leon is yelled at by Borgin. This is last. So apparently they're supposed to give away the Leon thing there at the Dreadnought. But I love the fact that they literally write in the story outline, Borgin's an idiot. Next step, Salamand. Borgin is there. Joseph guides you to a mine where you tell him about the key to Kashuan. Free the slaves. Joseph dies. Connected to an ancient ruins via a tunnel. Get the key to Kashuan. Borgin fails again. Kashuan. Use the key to get blank. Fill in later. Princess is captured along with the airship. She's panicked at the king's worsening condition. Boards the airship, caught along with the ship before the protagonist dies. You must rescue the princess and get back the airship. Maybe Leon is fourth party member? Dreadnought is destroyed. King dies. Last words are with Minwu and the protagonists. Gets an item to Minwu, tells him to unseal the ultimate magic. Tell the protagonist to go to Deist and search for the Dragoon. Tell the princess doesn't seem to be sad. The pirate Layla reveals her true colors en route and eventually becomes an ally. You can control the ship yourself! ! In Deist, the Wyvern appears, and you talk about the Wyvern egg. There are no more Dragoons. Return to Altair, and the princess is very bewitching. She tries to seduce you, oh my. That's actually what it says right here. I know I'm adding words occasionally, but that's not an added word. She tries to seduce you, oh my. You go to the Palamecia Arena. The princess is offered as a prize. The princess in Altair is a monster. You go to the arena, discovered by the Empire, get locked up, saved by Paul. You escape with the princess. The princess learns of her father's death and becomes paralyzed. The rebels make camp next to Finn, and soon they take back Finn Castle. You go to the castle with the princess, defeat Borgin, who's still alive at this point in the original story planning, retake Finn Castle, but Minwu has not returned from Mazidia, so you must go to Mazidia. The boat is swallowed by a massive fish on the way to Mazidia, which appears if you have a certain item. There's a town inside, the people have items, people try to undo the seal, there's a Dragoon there too. This is really meandering. Afterwards, a Wyvern appears and joins your party. What? You escape from the giant fish. You unlock the ultimate magic in Mazidia, but where is Minwu? When returning from Mazidia, everything but Finn is in flames. The rebels congregate at Finn. Sid gives the airship to the protagonist with his dying breath. The Palamecian Empire comes to Finn Castle. You defeat the Emperor. During the celebration, a message comes. Leon has taken over as Emperor of Palamecia. Guy's parent monster. At first, it thinks you're from the Empire, but it calms down upon seeing Guy and guides you through caves to Castle Palamecia. Guy could have actually been relevant. You confront Leon, but just then, the Emperor revives, and Leon regains his senses. Pandemonium floats up, the Emperor is revived from hell, the Dragoon tries to distract the Emperor, go, run! The Wyvern carries the party off and dies in Finn, you confront the Emperor, 4 of you, together with Leon, the end. interesting. That's actually legitimately interesting. I wish an FF6 version of that was in here. I wish all of these had one in here. Oh my god, they've actually got dialogue, like original dialogue in here. This is a whole page of text that's like 3 point. I'm not going to read all this. That was just 2 pages. This is like... Here, look. Look at all those little things. Each one of those is basically a page of dialogue. Ugh. And another page. What? Story. Basil II, King of Altair, has 3 sons, Philip, Richard, and Roger. The king is wondering who to make his successor. In the natural course of things, Philip would be the next king, but he dotes on Roger the most. Knowing the king's plight, the court splits into 2 factions. If the prince they back becomes king, their positions will vastly improve. Following the laws of royal succession, Philip has the advantage. What's more, he is a knight of superior valor, standing out from many of the generals in the kingdom. Roger's greatest ally is the king himself, but many unsavory types gather at his side to concoct their schemes. The middle child, Richard, which has an H in it, has no desires of his own and gives up, becoming a frontier commander to escape the conflict. The neighboring empire, capital E, wasn't going to let this opportunity pass them by. Minister Heinrich, from the kingdom of Elude, had heard this was a good chance to expand their power into Altair. Under the right circumstances, they can even move armies. Some observed this human strife with glee, namely the monsters in the wild wastes on the other side of the Wall Mountains, capital W. They had been chased into the wastes by the humans, but sometimes snuck into Altair and Elude to cause trouble. Centuries ago, the human heroes Furion and Isle vanquished the monsters, and they have not had a proper invasion since. Then someone appears to unite the monsters. Dole, daughter of the evil dragon Gawain, who was killed by Furion in the previous battle. She burns with a thirst for revenge against humanity, but her wounds from the previous battle are deep. Even with the combined power of all monsters, a frontal assault would be difficult. But with this internal strife, she has found those who would cooperate with the monsters. Dun dun dun. This is literally the prototype story ideas of FF2, if you're missing this. Scenario end conditions. 2 possible endings. Either the monster faction is defeated with Dole's death, or the humanist faction is defeated with both countries destroyed. The ending changes depending on the situation when you finish. For example, are any of the princes still alive? How many monsters have been conquered? And your current status of title and wealth. Player actions will affect good and evil, as well as fame parameters. Player conditions will affect the people and monsters, and they can become allies. Events will occur on a timeline conforming on conditions. Allies will move differently depending on their degree of trust. Wow. Yeah, it does actually sound a lot like Saga, doesn't it? Which makes sense, given that this is that team. And there are quite a few little bits here, including this species sprite for something called a Moogle. Except, I'm sorry, they're not actually called a Moogle. It's a Moogle. It is a Moogle, but it's called a Cryon. A Cryon is a bipedal bat-like creature with white fur, living in cold, icy areas. Nomads that are known to move in groups, known as milds. Once every 3 years, a group of Cryons go out to the edge of the ice land and for trade, marriage, and fishing. This land is a holy land. They obey their leader and go to warm lands during the winter and exchange pelts. But no, seriously, it's Moogles. There's also the Synkidians, which look exactly like the Shy Guys from Mario series. No, seriously. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm not going to read all of this, but just wow. Could have been an interesting story. I'm going to have to read all this someday. With all of that amazing spare time I have. Like, I heard someone pronounce Zonde recently, or Zandy. Of course, I've also heard someone say Narshi, so what the hell. Here's FF4, just really quick. Here we go. Storyboards, design documentation, FF4. Target! In addition to the obvious user base from people who've played Final Fantasy on the Famicom, we are considering the first product of our company to release on the new Super Famicom and plan to appeal to both new users and beginners. In terms of age range, previous games were focused on junior high age. With this in mind, we plan to expand the range so even elementary school students can understand it and give it depth that can draw in adults. Hang on. Scenario. The Kingdom of Baron, the country with the strongest military. They have the Imperial Guard, their Navy, and their airship brigade, the Red Wings, along with the protagonists Cecil, Rosa, Kain, and Cid. Damkian, the mercantile city of the desert, holds the Fire Crystal. Actually, most of this looks the same so far. Let me do this really quick. Yeah, most of this actually looks like what we already know from FF4. Wow. They actually summarize all of FF4's story in one page. Just right here. I'm not going to read it, but yeah. Oh my gosh, it's the wicked entity Zeromus, or Zeramus, depending on what you prefer there. Oh my god, Zeromus has a true form! And then they defeat him. The end. Wow. Interesting. Ugh. Aw, is that it? I was hoping for more behind-the-scenes stuff on FF4. Why do I get tons of behind-the-scenes stuff on FF2, but not 4 or 6? Come on. Ugh, really? I am disappointed. And then, yeah, this is the end of 4, and it just goes into 5. Whatever. Ugh, they probably had more of an idea what they could actually accomplish with the engine, Joludo, and did so. So I do have one last thing to show off, just very briefly, while I'm here. Here, let's cut off the music. Cut off the music. So, as I mentioned Friday, I was going out. Yes, I spit on it, Hariant. Patooey. Now, I had to go out and I had to get errands done because I haven't had a chance to do errands in like 3 weeks. I was completely out of groceries and everything. On the way, I happened by a GameStop, and I'll just skip to the punchline here. So I wanted to try this out just really quick with a game that I'm rather familiar with, if you're okay with that. Just super quick. Because that's a thing that happened. Down here. Whoa, what is that? Oh, right, wrong screen. There we go. So let's get this out of the way. Yes, the controllers are way too small. Like, look at this cable length. This is pathetic. I really don't get what they were thinking with this. Now, I already have the extension cable, but it's really stupid that I need to have that. So let's go with a game I know very, very well. Although I haven't used this controller in a billion years, roughly. So, we'll see how I do. Like, seriously, I actually can't remember the last time I used a NES controller. So, this is going to be weird. Well, the controller's nice and precise, as it should be. Yes, plus for good music. Oh. Yes, I do, Zed Slayer, exactly. You know, I don't know, and I actually wanted to test that exact thing, Zed Slayer, see if it works. I don't know if it will. Like, I don't know if it has the code for it. Whoops, I screwed it up. Oh, that's a hard question, Dream Whisperer. Do I have to pick between all of the classic Mega Mans and Mega Man X1? Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Well, I mean, this is a straight emulator. And let's just be honest with ourselves, this is an emulator, even though it's in a NES Classic. But I wonder if it's at 30... No, it looks like it's at 60 FPS. As it should be. So that's weird that it was actually vanishing earlier. Whatever. I screwed up. I screwed up. Ugh. Die. I blame the controller. Well, that's a very difficult question still, Dream Whisperer. So I'm gonna just pass on that question, because I really like Mega Man Classic, and I really like Mega Man X. So I'm gonna die here. Told you. I mean, yeah, Mega Man X7 exists, so that's always a problem. I'm one of those weirdos who actually enjoyed Mega Man X5, just not for its story. Which is funny, because Mega Man X5 tried the hardest to actually have story and continuity of the Mega Man X games, like, up to that point in time. I should be taking more risks. It's been too long. I'm out of practice. Yeah, I have X Legacy on the Switch. As it should be. Because I want everything on the Switch. I don't get why that's becoming a meme. I actually do want as many games as I can get on the Switch. That's not a joke, and it's not a lie. It's not a meme. I don't get why that's a meme. I mean, right? Anyways. So, this appears to be pretty precise. Let's see what else we got here. We can go get a save. So save states work the same as SNES. Oh, you want me? Okay, fine. I'll do Airman really quick. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Yeah, I know, right, Halo? Weird that people actually like the Switch. I can't imagine why anyone would actually like the Switch. If you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go play my Switch. I mean, I do have this game that I'm playing right now on my Switch, so make of that what you will. Oh, wow. X4 has an awful story, which is funny because it shouldn't. It has the potential for, in my opinion, one of the most interesting stories in the X series. Oh, wow. But, like, they just completely dropped the bottom on that. I don't know. I should probably figure out why I'm doing this jump wrong here. I'm way out of practice with this. Interesting. I don't know why I'm failing at that jump. Yeah, X3 also had an interesting story potential. X2 didn't, and X1 didn't. There we go. I don't know why I was screwing that up. Which means I can't fix it, because I don't know what I did wrong, but whatever. I can't beat Airman, guys, you're right. I don't even have the leaf shield right now. Yeah, Repliforce could have been such an awesome concept, in my opinion. And also, X4 was the first game to really have hints of the idea that the Hunters, as an organization, were becoming more political and less real. And I liked that idea. I liked the idea of politics getting involved in the X-Hunters. Or the Maverick Hunters, excuse me. That's a good question, Mitch Connor. I don't know. I'm pretty sure these are based on something in real-life art design. I just don't know what. Aw, I screwed it up. Aw. Oh. I am really screwing up my jumps for some reason. Maybe it's the controller. I don't know. I shouldn't do that. It's just me. I'll just take the blame. I'll just take the blame. It's all my fault. I'm awful. But in all seriousness, this feels so weird to actually be using an S controller. I can't properly describe how weird this feels. I've been asked a few times, with regards to what Tara just said, why I've never gone into finances or politics in real life as a job. Because I'm so interested in both, and, you know, I've been studying both for forever. But the answer to that is actually fairly self-apparent if you think about it. It's because those things are interesting and fun when they're fictional. As a game, basically. Yeah, I can't beat her, man. You know, right? Like, Final Fantasy Tactics is an awesome game. Well, it's an awesome story with an okay game that I love learning about and studying and expanding. But if I actually lived there, I'd be like, oh, screw this crap, right? So, someone said Castlevania. What do we got? Is Castlevania here? Am I just blind? I'm blind. Oh, they have Castlevania and Castlevania 2. Now, I am crap at Castlevania 1. In fact, I can't remember the last time I played it. However, I did recently beat Bloodstained Curse of the Moon on everything. So we'll see if I'm even remotely as good at this game. I'm guessing not. What? Oh, whatever. Wow. The sprite design is actually not that great, is it? Oh, right, I can't do that in this game. I have to start from the bottom. I don't think it has Metal Gear. I'll look in a second. I gotta die to the first boss first. Yeah, this is not great sprite design. I'm weirded out by this, because I don't remember this looking this bad. But then again, as I said, I haven't played the first game in an exceptionally long time. Wall chicken. No, I'm not gonna make that jump. I mean, I could try. Yeah, I know, right, Junko? Come on. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna manage that. I give up. I give up. I've never even done that trick. I just know it exists. That is totally chicken. I will admit the controller is pretty precise in its input. It just feels so weird. Like, this just does not feel good to hold. How did I ever deal with this as a kid? Seriously. In lore, it actually is a flail at this point in time. That's true in Castlevania 2 as well. Boss time. Oop, I missed. Yeah, I'm gonna die. I don't even remember his pattern. And dead. So anyways. So that's Castlevania. So we got Donkey Kong Jr., Double Dragon 2, Dr. Mario, Excite Bike, Final Fantasy Galaga, Ghost and Goblins, Gradius. Ice Climber, Kid Icarus, Kirby's Adventure, Mario Brothers, Mega Man 2, Metroid, Ninja Gaiden, Pac-Man, Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream, Star Tropic, Super Contra, Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, and Super Mario Brothers 3, as well as Tecmo Bowl, Legend of Zelda 2, and Balloon Fight and Bubble Bobble. That's actually not terrible. I mean, I can think of better games that should be on here. But, you know, that's not as bad as I was thinking it was going to be. Yeah, I like my party of Crystallis is actually coming out on the Switch soon. Seriously, that's not a joke. Quick lore run. I mean, I've already done a lore run of FF1. I basically don't remember Phantasy Star. I have played it, but I don't remember it, and that's the truth. Yeah, that screen transition. Yeah. Crystallis, it's a NES RPG that some people know about and some people don't, and that everyone argues about how to pronounce it. It's coming out on the SNK collection. So, woo. Yeah, I need a, like, an anything. Which one's which? I'm gonna assume it's in order. You remember the days of defaulting to the top of a menu and having to manually buy every item individually? I love those days. This is why WoW Vanilla is the best WoW expansion. Because the old days are always better in every way. Here, let's buy some potions. I think I've made my point. Alright, lore on leaving east, but going out on the west. Well, you see, once upon a time, there was this nightmarish darkness which covered the land. Oh yeah, and then there's this feature, which I still think is dumb. And I've never changed my opinion on that, and probably never will.
Zug Zug.
Ah! Remember, you can only give one bit at a time. No! Now, I'm not gonna lie. I have some nostalgia for this. I have some real nostalgia for this, because as I've said before, this game and Dragon Quest 1... Don't you dare, Halo. This game and Dragon Quest 1 were the games that introduced me to RPGs, right? In fact, I got into Dungeons & Dragons as a consequence of FF1 and Dragon Warrior. So I definitely have nostalgia here. But this is still a crap game, and I can still say that.
Zug Zug.
Oh, thank goodness, Halo. Alright, I'm bored. So anyways, that's FF1. Someone said Kirby earlier. By contrast, in my opinion, this is a game that has aged fairly well. It's here on Blue Felix.
Zug Zug.
Don't you dare kill me with bits. Whoops, wrong button. Hey, Who Girl. Welcome to Nostalgia Hour. I'm your host, the Nostalgia Runner. Because some people on YouTube say, they haven't said this in a while, in fairness, but they say that I only ever stream or look at games from the 90s, so... When did this game come out? Someone look up when this game came out. But you can see, even though this is more cartoony, you can immediately see how the sprite design and animation work is just superior in this compared to the games we just looked at. Like, in every way. It's not even a contest, really. Whoop, whoop, whoop. On button. 93? Wow. Yeah, I didn't look at it too good. It didn't occur to me, too, because I didn't think about the title until, you know, I realized I could make fun of people really quick. If you don't make fun of people, I mean, what else you got, right? But again, as I pointed out, this was developed much later in the time period, so... well, first thing will happen, Harriant, is I will go bankrupt and destitute, and then I will commit suicide. But that presumes that what you mean by donating is I lose my Patreon and my Twitch subs. In other words, I literally can't afford to eat or sleep. So, make of that what you will. I got into Kirby pretty late overall. I gotta think about that. When did I get into the Kirby series? Because I do consider myself a Kirby fan. I mean, I like almost every Kirby game that's come out. I'm trying to think of when I actually got into it, because it wasn't with this game. I got into Kirby 1 way later. Kirby has been on the GBA, yes. Kirby has, I think, been on everything at this point. So I'm thinking about my own personal timeline. I got into the Kirby series right about... Oh, right. Right about at... that would have been about 97, 98. So could somebody do me a favor to look up what Kirby game came out in 97 or 98 so I can figure out... Because I don't actually remember what got me into the franchise. I know Rob introduced me to one of the games. I remember that. I remember talking about it to him about it after school. Kirby Superstar. That makes perfect sense, because I love Kirby Superstar. It's one of my favorite Kirby games to date. That is very strange, Savacon, but I'm glad it's fixed. Also, thank you for the email. I did read it. I did play Kirby's Avalanche. Yeah, whoop, whoop. In fact, funny story. So, I used to rent Kirby Superstar. So yeah, that would have made sense, because I used to rent it and I used to play it over and over and over, because I loved Kirby Superstar. It was a great game. And that made me go look into, you know, Kirby's Adventure and the actual original Kirby game on the Game Boy. But I bring that up because would anyone like to know when I finally bought Kirby Superstar and actually owned a copy of it? Take a guess, real. For real. I mean, I could give you it to the exact day if I bother to look it up, but yeah. – 2005. Good guess. Very good guess. 2014. A little off. I bought Kirby Superstar about 3 months ago. So for those of you who weren't around in the pre-half.com, pre-Amazon era, getting a hold of games for collections used to be a big issue. Like, I don't know about how this is true outside of the States, so I can only speak for in the States, but I used to make a regular trip, like as in once a week or so, as part of my life, to the local used game store, or local game store in general, to try and see if I could procure any of the games I was missing from my collection. This is partially why I didn't own certain games until well after they came out. FF6, I've told the story about that one. Chrono Trigger is another example. But no one ever had Kirby Superstar. No one ever had Kirby Superstar. And it used to drive me crazy because it got to the point where it was the only SNES game I was missing. In fact, if you give me a moment here. Like I said, I bought this just a couple of months ago. Let's see how much I ended up spending for that, because, yeah. I actually owned the DS Superstar before I owned the SNES one. Search. So I bought Kirby Superstar on March 24th of this year. It cost me $50. I knew it was a lot. And I remember staring at that like, ugh, I don't want to spend $50 on a SNES game. But it was the only SNES game I was missing. It was the only one I was missing. And I'm like, fine. So I've since completed my SNES collection. What else we got here? Was I the only person who really liked playing this game back as a kid? And nowadays? Like, something about this game has always just worked for me. I don't know why. You'll do. There we go. This is really awkward. Couldn't get the timing right on that. Kept screwing it up. Damn it. I win. It basically is Yes Who Girl. Oh no, that's I don't have every SNES game. I don't want every SNES game. I have my own list of this is the stuff that I want. Anyways. But yeah, I used to play the hell out of Punch-Out. I loved that game. Nobody's ever heard of this game, so we'll just move on from that one. Why do his shorts go from green to white? Well, some people have bowel issues. That's true, I did get hit by Glass Joe. I do apologize for that, Swedish. Whoop! Which one? Oh, Jesus. Which one's Primook? Sorry. I am not good at Mario 3. I will freely admit that. I have no trouble admitting that. When I was a kid, I rocked this game, but ever since, I have been unable to. I suck at this game. In fact, I'm generally bad at most Mario games, if I'm being honest. There's precious few that I would actually consider myself good at. And it's mainly because of the squiggity. I am just not good at the squiggity. I never have been. I still enjoy them, despite being bad at them. Yes, actually, Saldir. Rax has been recording, and Selmo is gotten married, so I need to figure out someone else to play Baku. Oh yeah, Mega Man I'm actually good at. I can do Mega Man. I can kind of do Castlevania. Yes, this should actually be Mario Brothers 4. Thankfully, this is, unlike a lot of other franchises, the Mario franchise does not fall into the numbering problem. Because this is basically the last time they really numbered the games. Oh, I missed. I mean, technically, Yoshi's Island is actually Super Mario World 2, but nobody calls it that. So official designations can go to hell. Yeah. Oh god! Oh god, it's still the full screen. Holy crap. I can't see anything. I can't see anything. Okay, there we are. Thank you very, very much, Kaifrun. As ever, you are filling me with tremendous fear for your contributions. Thank you very much, sir. As ever, much appreciated. I'll just get this one. Much easier to get that one. Now, Mario World, that's a game I was good at, but Mario World didn't have the squiggity. So, you know. It's okay, Zed Slayer. I mean, as I said earlier, I'm kind of busy too right now, so I understand. So which was the one you asked for, Takoida? Sorry. And yes, Kingdom Hearts is definitely a good example of the bad numbering. Kingdom Hearts, Assassin's Creed, Resident Evil, all three of those are franchises that have really bad numbering naming schemes that are basically nonsense. Bubble Bobble, you got it. I used to play that game a lot too. Never beat the second set of levels. I still need to do the DS9 stuff, Ariant, pretty much all of it, and I need to do the rumination on Divinity Original Sin 2 and Chrono Trigger. That is what I do not have done yet. Everything else is done for the year. Well, I'm glad you got to keep the widescreen, Zed Slayer. Excuse me. No, that's actually later, Django. Or in 3D Land, where it's all he gets is the stupid furry suit. The Tanuki suit, specifically. But anyways, no, I have not played the Mario 3 randomizer. I've been looking at the randomizers, I have to admit, I'm kind of picky about randomizers. In my opinion, there's really only been 4 good randomizers. I shouldn't say that. There's been 4 randomizers that I have enjoyed to date. The FF4 Free Enterprise one, which was awesome. The LTTP one, which was done in the same style. The Super Metroid one, same style. And the Super Metroid LTTP one, which is a randomizer between both games, where you bounce back and forth between both games. In other words, I like randomizers that really are all about your knowledge and understanding of the game, rather than just changing around things so you have no idea what's coming. Like, there's a randomizer for FF6 that I just haven't really cared all that much to really get into. Oh, I screwed up. There we go. Because all it does is, like, switch around abilities and enemy stats, and that's like, okay. Well, I am a huge board game fan, Who Girl. It kind of sucks because I have like 5 friends total who are into board games. Anyways, that's Mario 3. Let's see. How many of you actually played this back in the day? So there's, what, 198 levels in this game? And I've never beaten all of them. I beat the first 99, somehow. But... never beat all of them. Never beat the second round through, basically. So, there's also something else about this game, which I'm going to try and showcase here. Probably not Supreme Mook, but we don't actually know. I don't actually know if it'll trigger if I've already bubbled them. There we go. So then that happens. So anything kills you in a touch, you're timed, you have finite lives, and after a while things speed up, and everyone goes enraged. I know it's hard to see because they were already enraged. But they go to enraged status if you take too long and get to the speed up section. And then Baron von Blob, or whatever the hell his name is, shows up and tries to kill the hell out of you. Fun game. What else we got here? I guess that's kind of it. I have beaten Star Tropics, but not since the NES days. It's the last time I actually played it, for that matter. I used to remember having a hard time explaining this game to my friends. One day in summer, you land at Sea Island, where Dr. Jones has his laboratory. See you around, Kay. See, it looks a lot like an RPG, doesn't it? It's not, but it sure looks like one. Although Star Tropics 2 is much less of an RPG. Oh, I'm sorry, hang on, real quick. Crusader Kings 2 reference. I've beaten Zelda 2 without any kind of cheating or save stating, and I can prove that because I did it live for the Zelda 2 then and now. Hey, man. I'm Chief Coral Cola. I'm a good friend of your uncle. I have some bad news. Last night, he's super dead. Actually, he's not. He's just abducted. Spoiler alert, aliens did it. I am dead serious. I just realized I have no idea where I'm going. Dinner. I don't remember where to go. I actually really don't. So we're gonna move on. Because I don't want to spend forever doing this. I do have other work to do. My niece was playing this. Really. Alright. Well, hopefully watching me suffer through Zelda 2 will help, Savicom. So what I say is when I did it live, obviously when I did the Then and Now stuff, the Then and Now stuff was basically a single-player lore run. So what I would do is I would anytime I had something to talk about, I would talk. And then I would go very quiet in between, like anytime I don't have anything to say. And then I would just edit out all the silent moments in the final product. You'll see what I mean if you actually watch any of my Then and Now series. I actually liked the format. It took a lot of time because of the editing involved. Someday I kind of hope to be able to do more of that, but whatever. Anyways, point being, when I got to the final palace, I was like, alright, just for you guys, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to edit anything. So there's no edits in the Grand Palace. So that's why I say it's live. I showcased the whole Grand Palace without any editing, without anything at all the way through, and goddamn. And I got lost. I'll admit it. I had to look up a map once. I had to do that. And yeah, the Earthbound Then and Now, which was basically my Earthbound lore run, functionally, was awesome. I'm sorry. What I mean by that is it was awesome to go through. I was really happy to be able to do that. I'm really glad I got the chance to do that when I had the time to. Like nowadays, I don't think I could afford that, time-wise. So yes, this is the Breath of the Wild 2. Just came out. Like I said, I got it last Friday. And it's a little bit trickier than Breath of the Wild, a little more difficult. Like, you have very few hearts, but enemies hit really hard, and it's really hard to aim properly. Like, they artificially limit the reach of your weapon, in addition to the fact that they limit... Instead of durability, they decided rather than using durability as the method of difficulty, they decided they'd limit your reach, restricting you to one weapon, and most importantly of all, you can't move while swinging. So this obviously adds a lot of very natural and fluid difficulty to this magnificently perfect game. By the way, if you ever feel like hating me for my opinion, I don't care for this game that much. I mean, it's not a bad game. It's hard to call Zelda 1 a bad game. But if I was to say my least favorite Zelda game, this would be it. By quite a margin, actually. Like, I know a lot of that is because it's an old game. But yeah. No, I actually like Zelda 2. I'm one of those extremely weird people who enjoy Zelda 2. Now, granted, Zelda 2 has some very serious design issues, which I talk about in the aforementioned Then and Now. But I do still overall enjoy Zelda 2 more. Including the what, Tigzar? I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Who's Vinny? Actually, I should know who that is. I feel like that's been referenced to me before. I feel so out of it from the YouTube community, because I haven't had time to do anything. Yes, I did like Breath of the Wild. I don't think I've ever played a Zelda game that exists that I don't like, so... Again, make of that what you will. I mean, how could you not love this game in all its perfection of having the exact same song play on loop? This is like a 15-second loop or something. All right, let's count this. Hang on, ready? It is a 20-second loop. Do I need to say anything to that? mean, I attribute a great deal of genius to Koji Kondo. The man knows how to do a lot with a little. But this is not a good song. And there's not a lot of good music in this game. In fact, there's not even a lot of music in general in Zelda 1. There's the dungeon song, the overworld song, the final dungeon song, and that's actually it. Everything else is just a ditty that plays, like the da-na-na-na. Yeah, oh, that's another thing, the low health sound. Now, granted, low health indicators are a problem in most games, but how many of you have ever just basically gone insane from da 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 da? I'll stop. I don't want to actually irritate you. Oh, absolutely. I will always say that Zelda 1 is a massive milestone in video game history. Absolutely. Anybody who says it isn't is wrong. But that doesn't mean it's a game I really enjoy going back to and replaying, you know? There we go. I'm sorry, I will actually stop. I'm not going to make you sit through it. Well, I said I wouldn't, but obviously I will. God, I love that swing radius. Anybody who knows me knows that one of my biggest things as far as preference for combat is range. I'm the guy who will play the character who can swing the farthest. That's my big deal, right? Damn it. I screwed that up completely. There we go. So you have no range in this game. Look at that. It's not even a full square. Yeah, pole arms, damn right. Or like the Masamune from Sephiroth, for example. Something just whoosh. Instead, in this, I get like a dagger. Although, funnily enough, ah! You don't have much of a swing range in this game either. The only thing that makes Zelda 2 a little bit more tolerable when it comes to swing range is that you have the downswing and the upswing. Other than that, the combat in this game has basically the exact same problems. Oh, I overshot it, so... Screwed it up. I suck, guys. Sorry. Exactly, to go ahead. Yes, this is on the NES Classic. Come on, I can literally see you there. Get the height wrong. Ah, whatever. Then I get him. I even knew where he was. God dang it. Come on, I know he's right there. I just ran into him. Ah, there we go. Nope. He's right there. And then he's right there. God, I don't actually have this dungeon memorized anymore. No! Ah! Okay, I don't have this dungeon as memorized as I used to. Where the hell is the candle? The candle's over here, isn't it? I think. God, I don't actually remember where the candle is. It has been so long. Oh, Jesus! I need to move this in accordance with our new policy. Thank you very, very much, Trayfun. Welcome to the Baker's Dozen Club. And as ever, yeah, this needs to go here, like over here, and then like here, behind the layout, but in front of the webcam, like there. That should be good. Where is he? Where is he? I don't see him. Oh, there he is. Alright, so how many of you know someone who would go grinding basically right here to be able to stagger the experience rate so that you always were basically one level ahead of where you were supposed to be? I'd raise my hand, but I'm kind of busy right now, but just presume I'm raising my hand right now, okay? Hand raised. There we go. You can see them moving in front of other tiles, Brigwin, because they're drawn on front of the background. So, can't remember if it's left or right. It's right. I think part of the reason I like Zelda 2 as much as I do is because it's a side-scroller, and just side-scrollers have kind of always been the thing I'm actually good at, you know? Even when I was a kid. It's one of the only games I'm actually decent at nowadays, since I suck at everything else. Like, have you ever seen me play RPGs or art strategy games? I'm terrible. I never use fire damage for some reason. Of course, every time I say I'm decent at a game, I immediately start sucking at it, so I shouldn't have opened my dumb mouth there, but whatever. I knew that was going to happen. I was just waiting for it. Yeah, bubbles are evil. This music's awesome. Spells right now. Nope. You have to be really specific with the timing of that. And then you're dead. You go back here. Anyway, Zelda 2. Oh, where is the candle? I mean, Chain Lightning is very useful, but Lightning Storm? I'm just saying. I mean, some people make a very juvenile joke about this, but we all know what's really happening here. She's making him a home-cooked meal. Sorry. Double layer joke, don't mind me. Some of you will get it. So, I wanted to show this real quick. This is not a translation error. This is something that's been wondered about for years, but people have actually studied this. This is basically the same thing he says in Japanese. Anyways. There's another half to the joke, but I don't remember it right now. Is that everything? That's basically everything. So, I'm gonna admit something really, really dumb. I used to play this game a lot. In my defense, the game selection I had at that particular time in my life was Duck Hunt, Mario Brothers 1, and Excite Bike. And that's it. These were the games I owned. The SNES Mini, I'd say, is absolutely worth it. I'm not sure if the NES Mini is really worth it. It's a little more debatable. I didn't care for Duck Hunt, even as a kid. I was just like, okay. This is the game. This is it. There is one song in this game, and you've already heard it. It's the title. Oh, no, actually, no, that's not true. There's technically two songs. There's one ditty, and then there's one song. Although I guess they're both ditties, so whatever. Yeah, this reminds me of Double Dribble, which most of you probably never even heard of, which is another game I played a lot because it was one of the only games I had at the time. Here's the other song. Those are the songs. And yeah, I will admit, I spent a lot more time doing this than anything else. I think I screwed that up. Give me a second. I remember Blades of Steel. And RC Pro-Am. Who could forget RC Pro-Am? Give me a minute. Blades of Steel was the hockey one, right? I'm thinking of the right one. So I screwed up. Is there like a background? Is there like a fail? I'll just scroll. Just hit the reset button. There we go. Okay. Here we go. So this is design mode. This was actually pretty impressive in the day, I'll admit. This is also probably the very first time I did anything even approaching game design. Was messing with these back in the day. Now, I also had a friend who made a map kind of like this, because he thought it'd be funny. And then I was like, okay, well, let's go ahead and play it. Also, if you overheat, this happens. Oh yeah, if you mash buttons quickly, you get back to your ship. Wow, your motorcycle faster. So I'm like, all right, go ahead and play your map. Scott, I'll just tell you his name. His name is Scott. He's like, okay. And then he'll be like, well, that was really boring. And I'm like, yeah. It was, wasn't it? But yeah, that was probably... I mean, granted, we're talking about bare bones, just barely thinking about game design. But again, that was pretty much the beginning of game design for me. Thinking about how to actually put things together to make an interesting track. I'm going to admit something really embarrassing, and I know I've admitted this before. I used to design Mario Brothers 3 levels on graph paper. Anyways. I used to play the hell out of this at the arcade. Was never really good at Ghosts and Goblins. Ended up returning that to the store. I didn't own it. I rented it. Gradius, I didn't get into that series until 3. Ice Climber sucked. Kid Icarus. I actually beat Kid Icarus. I say that with such a weird face because I'm not actually proud of that accomplishment. So back in the day, this would have been 80-something. I'm not actually sure which 80. Actually, I think it would have been 80. Hang on. When did this game come out? When did Kid Icarus come out in the States? So anyways, this is a crap platformer. This is not a good game, to be as blunt as I possibly can. It has a lot of the problems that other platformers do, and nothing really to offset that to make it good. The one and only unique thing about it is that, the wrapping nature of the levels and the fact that you're always going up. Anyways, to get back to my point, the reason I said that, back in the day, this is in the mall. Our local mall had an entire NES gaming store, which was actually pretty unique at that time. It was actually the only gaming store like that in the entire region. I mean, like, as in from San Diego all the way up to, like, say, Carlsbad. There was that one gaming store. And it was the one in the mall. Now, what they had was they had a whole display of old CRTs in one part of the area, and they were all labeled with a number. And you could go ahead and... Oh, jeez, this music. Anyways, what you could do is you could just pick up a controller, which was set up and, you know, ready to go and all that, and just start playing one of the games they had on display, and if you liked it, then you would buy it. It was pretty much the first time I'd ever seen the concept of a demo. Was that gaming store, and the fact that they just had a bunch of NES games set up. Whoops. So that's how I beat Kid Icarus. I just stood there and played this while my dad was doing stuff, you know, doing work stuff. And I just stood there and played Kid Icarus basically all day. And beat it. It was, a thing. Anyways. Someone said Gradius, so in honor of Saldier. It's Galaga, but sideways. I'll admit right now, by the way, that I suck at this series, so just let you know. Yeah, one of the reasons I always like to actually play with my niece when we play video games, when she plays video games, is because I think that's how that should go. I don't like the idea of being like, alright kiddo, here's video game, go ahead and do this, I'm gonna go, you know, do other things. I don't like doing that. I understand that it's kind of a necessity in some cases, I'm not trying to be judgmental or anything like that, it's just, I don't like doing that. So, I don't. Anytime she's playing video games, I'm right there with her. Commenting, or talking with her, or talking her through it, or, you know, whatever. Yeah, fine, we'll keep using the speed-ups, just for you. I suck at everything, Max Time, what are you talking about? So, showcasing the difference in speed-up speed here. Even with 2 speed-ups, you can see how much of a difference that is. Also, for some reason, there's always some really gross super alien that's the size of several buildings in this series. I never really understood that. Like, there's not a lot of lore to the Gradius franchise, so... But yeah, most of the older games that I've beaten, I beat just because I played them over and over and over and over and over and over. Not because I was good at them. So, Ice Climber sucks. Oh, exactly, Savacom. She also loves to, you know, be like, oh my god, look at what I just did, you know, showing off kind of thing. You understand that, right? I'm sure most people understand that concept. Is Contra on here? Oh no, Super Contra's on here, that's right, it's over here. So, what school did I go to in the San Diego area? Would you believe a lot of them? That was back when my mom would switch jobs roughly every 6 months, on average. So I switched schools a lot. I could probably point them out on a map, but I couldn't tell you any names off the top of my head. The lore of Pac-Man. Once upon a time, there was the horrible Pac Wars. The Pac Wars were a terrible time for everyone. Unfortunately, the Pac Wars were so devastating that the only way to subsist was off of energy pellets. Now the thing is, the Pac Wars killed a lot of people, and a lot of the spirits of the people who had died were still left, you know, degenerated or destroyed, or basically just to the point where they're not even really sentient or sapient anymore. They're just, you know, dead, horrible, monstrous creatures, which constantly seek to harm anything that happens to be near them. Bad problem with that, though, is the fact that the pack spirits actually have a basically they innately gravitate towards the new energy pellets, which are the only real source of power for the new technology that has been developed in order to handle the post-resource glut, or not glut, wrong word, the resource lack of, what's the word for lack of? I suddenly can't word. Anyways, when they had no resources, the energy pellets are the only form of energy that actually worked for the new technology, because, you know, all forms of coal and nuclear power and everything else, it's all gone. There's nothing left. Drought, there we go, that's a good one. Or shortage. So with the energy crisis, brave men and women have to go in and volunteer to procure all those energy pellets in the wake of the nightmare that exists as a consequence. Sadly, the two of the best resource people... I suck at Contra, by the way. Two of the best resource people in the business are Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man. And thus, they endure the nightmare to power your homes. However, we have developed a new weapon that allows the ghosts to be temporarily dematerialized. I'm saying that the wrong way. Temporarily despiritualized, so in other words, temporarily materialized. In so doing, these brave adventurers have the chance to actually fight back against the ghosts, although only temporarily. And dead. I never memorized any of the patterns in Pac-Man, so I... Yeah, I gotta be honest, I never liked this game. This is also the first game I ever played, by the way. No joke. Sitting on my dad's lap at the old arcades. Pizza place. So yeah, first game I ever played. I didn't like it. Dad liked it. He thought it was amazing because, oh my god, it's a video game, was basically his mentality. He was, according to his own report, pretty good at it, too. I remember Joust. Yeah, they're just written on his glasses. And I'm sad that I get that reference now, dear. That was such a crap movie. Cheat codes don't work like that. Anyways, this is a dumb game. Moving on. What other dumb game? Wasn't there? Oh yeah, this is a game I played way too much back in the day. I don't know why. I really don't. I'm not that into American football, or gridiron if you prefer. I don't even remember how to play it. So, we'll do this one, I guess?
Ready, down, put.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
Ready, down, put. Ready, down.
Yes, Madden 1 is what this is. Anyways, that's enough of that. This is exactly what football's like. American football. This is the other really dumb game I wanted to show off. Why is this even on here? Nobody liked this game. If they say they did, they're lying. You may think you like this game, but you're actually wrong. This is just a crap game. So here you go. Balloon fight. Yeah, this was on the NES remix too, which also confused the crap out of me. Yeah, exactly, Takoida. Like, this feels like a tech demo. Like, here's what could be a game if you fund us, you know? I mean, isn't this sound design fantastic? Eat up that sound design, guys. Don't you love the music? Spoilers, there's actually no real music here. Yeah, if this was on the mobile phone, this would be worth, like, maybe a couple minutes of attention if it was free. Anyways, I'm done with this. I remember when I saw that that was on the NES Classic, and my first thought was, why? How many of you used to play this? I know that sounds like a... Whoop, hang on. There we go. Weird statement. I used to play this a lot at one particular place I used to go to after school. And they had this, they had Tron, they had Galaga, and I think that was actually it. So those were my choices, and it was free because it was a setup for after school. So none of them actually took quarters; they just turned on free play. So I played the hell out of this and Tron and Galaga because it was what they had. It wasn't until many years later, whoops, I screwed that up. It wasn't until many years later that they added a NES to that area. And by years, I mean months. I'm sorry, totally wrong time thing. There we go. So this is not a good game. Like, it's got a unique gimmick, and I do actually like the gimmick. The gimmick is you can climb up slowly, or you can climb up quickly, so you have more maneuverability if you're more exposed. And I actually like that mechanic. It adds a degree of risk-reward to the overall game. Downside is the controls are really imprecise. You die if you fall more than, like, a foot. Oh, and also, the jump mechanics are imprecise, and it's a commit jump, like Castlevania. It also has really bad hitboxes and really bad hurtboxes, too. Hurtboxes don't even come in yet. So, it's a neat idea, it's just a bad game. See, like, that's a fall enough to kill you, for example. Yeah. Another example of what I was talking about earlier with the committed jump thing. Can't do anything to correct it once you've already jumped. Well, my options, Saldir, were play Tron, Galaga, and this. I didn't like any of these games, by the way. Or do nothing. So... I kind of appreciate the greater approach to puzzle design. Whoops, I screwed that up. That this had over the first game, but I mean, it's still not exactly what you'd call a good game. Anyways, I'm officially done showing off. I've been streaming for way too long. I gotta go get YouTube stuff done. Oh, thank you all for joining me for this extremely long and probably extremely boring lore week. The next planned stream is tomorrow evening. where we should be streaming Board Game Night, and then next Loreweek after that. So I'll see you tomorrow or in a week.